Welcome, everyone. This is your friend, the DN What If, here with another exciting fanfiction. Today, we're diving into the story of What If Deku Made Class 1A React to His Alternate Universes? If you enjoy this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more fanfiction content just like this. Now, let's get started with the fanfic. A bright glow shone in a random house. The hero class 1A, some teachers, the Pussycats group and Kudo were drop in. A teen in white hair just stare in amusement as they try to untangle themselves. After they did, he spoke up. Had a nice fall? The teen asked cheekily. Who the hell are you fucker? Said a blonde, also known as Bakugo, as he tried to use his quirk to intimidate him, but his eyes widen in shock as he quirk didn't work. Yeah, your quirks are all gone till I said otherwise. Good thing too, don't want to bloody my hand on your face. But push me enough, I will put you in a dress. The teen said with a chuckle. What do you want? Asked a grown man with tire eyes, otherwise known as Shota Aizawa, but his voice held an edge. Don't worry. I just brought you all here to watch different worlds. The teen said calmly. Different worlds? But isn't that just theories? Ida asked in surprise. Said the guy with engine on his legs. There is different worlds. They're all connected through movies, books, anime and others sorts like them. It a way to safely connect world without idiots trying to take over them all. The teen example. The group started to whisper to each at this. The teens were the most excited. That means their favorite characters from their favorite show is real. But why are we watching these others' world? Momo asked calmly. Just for sheets and giggles really. But I will be having you watch your classmate potential in all these worlds. The teen answered with a smirk. Who? Todoroki asked. Look around you and you will see who. The teen said with shrug. They all look around and their eyes widen in shock. Where Deku? Uraraka asked in shock. Don't worry. He all sleep on his bed. I froze time so he won't notice you're all gone. The teen said as he tried to ease the room. What type of quirk do you have to be able to do all of this? Midnight, Kayama, asked in shock at the power this teen had. I'm quirkless. The teen said easily, making everyone frown. Bullshit. Bakugo growled angrily. I'm not lying. My powers isn't a quirk. I'm simply a god. And no, I'm saying that to be arrogant, I am a god. Not a well-known one, but I am a god. The teen said with a shrug. I see. All Might said in surprise. I don't worry. I'm not going to hurt anyone unless they mess with time. But other than that, I'm a friend. The teen said. That good I guess. Sosaki, Mandalay, said with some relief. Anyway, I will be off, so take a seat and watch the videos I set up. The teen said as he snapped his fingers and left. Suddenly the room glowed once more and everyone saw snacks, chairs and big TV for viewing. I guess we're doing this. All Might said awkwardly. Let's just get this done with. I want to go home. Aizawa said with an eye roll as everyone took a seat. The screen started as everyone stared at the screen in wonder or worry. Izuku wasn't sure how this happened, but he felt it was one of his CPU's fault. It was always their fault at one point or another. Being their champion for goddesses blows sometimes. CPUs? Mina asked in confusion. Champion? Momo asked while tilting her head slightly. Goddesses? Bakugo said in surprise anger. I think Izuku work for higher begins than mortals in this world. Jiro said in surprise with a whistle at Izuku achievement in this world. What an honor! To serve not one, but more as their champion. He must have been through many trails to achieve just a title. Ida said in awe for his friend. That's so cool. Deku is so cool in this world too. Kuda said in awe with stars in his eyes. The Pussycats chuckle at Kuda child-like wonder at his idol achievements. Why is a big dragon here, Kampa? Izuku asked with a sweat drop as he stared at the dragon that was growling at them. Everyone jaw dropped at the size of the dragon in front of Izuku. That dragon is huge. Uraraka said in shock horror. Interesting. How will Izuku handle this dragon? Todoroki thought to himself. I'm sorry Aizu. But Nep Nep was fighting it and lead it here by mistake. Kampa said with apolitical bow. Kampa is a fair-skinned young girl whose most noticeable feature may be the fact that she has one of the biggest busts he ever seen. Also her hair a light creamy pink color that is somewhat long and curls along the edges worn with a black headband with a C patched on the side. Her eyes match her hair color. She wears a tan white wool-styled tank top with big neck and unattached sleeves and matching styled boots, but with small ribbons fuzzy ball at the top. Kampa also wears a red plaid skirt, a black choker with a small heart on it, black-brown knee socks with light pink heart-cut frills, and often carries a black hip purse and heart-shaped buttons. Like her headband, both her purse and the heart on the choker has a C logo. The teen guys gulp as they felt something tighten in their pants at the figure and outfit of Kampa. She was too beautiful in their eyes. Some of girls stared jealously at Kampa figure and her height. Her BRC is as big, if not bigger than Momo. Mineta said with a slight drool going down his mouth. Which earned him a smack from Tsuyu. The adults face-palm at the teens and coulda hide his blush in his hat at Kampa good looks. So it was Neptune's fault this time, huh? I can see that. Izuku said with a sigh. He sound used to this. Tokoyami noted. He is their champion, so he must be used to seeing things go wrong a lot. Ida suggests calmly. It would make sense. Goddesses aren't perfect beings as seen in myths and legends. Midnight said with a sigh. Sorry. I want to help, but I use too much magic healing Nep and Iffy. Kampa said sadly. Magic? Momo questions mentally. So in that world, there others powers that isn't quirks. That neat. Pixie said. No worry. I'm sure Nepgear and I can take it. Izuku said with a sigh as he patted Kampa head. Come on Nepgear. Let's stop this thing before it get too close to the city. Izuku shouted as he readied his fighting stance and weapons. Which were just metal gloves and boots made for combat. Everyone stared at Izuku's weapon with mixed feelings. On one hand, it looks suitable to protect his hands and feet, but it also means his other joints are available to be attacked. All might faintly wonder if he should look into weapons for Izuku to use to channel his power for safer use. Nepgear turns toward him and nodded. Nepgear is a fair-skinned girl with long lilac purple hair almost waist in length with few loose strands of long hair curling down. Her bangs are usually kept neatly brushed. Her eyes are slightly darker. Her outfit almost resembling a school uniform consisting of a white jacket dress with purple lining consisting of thin double white stripes. A white choker, and around her neck is a pale yellow ribbon ascot-like piece with a N in the center. At her chest is a small pink marking while the pockets and buttons are purple. On her right leg is a white belt-like purse object and she wears pink and white striped socks with white and purple shoes very similar to her sister-owned shoes. In her hair she wears a single direction pad button. Ilda's face turns slightly red at the girl in the screen. She cute. Ilda thought with a shaking hand, but lucky for him, no notice it. She kind of cute. Denki said as he looked the girl up and down. Is she related to Izuku somehow? Shiro asked with thinking posture. I don't know. They don't seem to share any form of traits so far. So it can come down to friends like relationship. Midnight said as she compared the two on the screen. Meh, I'm sure we will find out if we keep watching. Jiro said with a shrug. My goodness. That probably the biggest dragon I ever seen. Nepgear said with a gulp. I'm sure we can take it if we hit fast and avoid its thunder breath. Izuku said as his body began to glow with power. I hope so. Let break it guard first. Nepgear said as her body began to glow too, but hers were more of a simmer. It seemed those glow is a way to show their power. With Izuku glow being more beta means he's stronger of the two. Tokoyami said with a surprised expression. It seemed like that the reason for the glow. But what does that glow mean? Is magic base or strength base? Momo asked with a thinking expression. I'm sure it doesn't matter. The fact you're able to see it means you know how much of a threat this version of Izuku is. Aizawa said grumpily. But the adults stare at Izuku with awe. While the glow to the teens seems small, but to them, who had more battle experience and wisdom, Izuku is just oozing power that can match an experienced pro-hero power. Just how powerful is this Izuku? Present Mike thought with a frown. Understand? I'll go first. Izuku said as he launched himself at the dragon and started to wail at it with his guard break attacks. His fists were moving at just high speed that his arms were blur and his kicks were hitting harder than a truck. The class were in awe at Izuku's power. It wasn't like his foul cowl at all. Coulda had stars in his eyes to see his idol was fighting a dragon head-on to protect his home and loved ones. All Might felt a little bit of pride swell in his chest at the display of power. One day soon, Izuku can reach that power. And I will be so proud when he does. All Might thought with a soft smile. The dragon roared in pain before trying to stomp him, but Izuku moved out of the way before jumping onto its face and started to wail on it from there, making the dragon cried out in pain. Neptune appeared behind the dragon with her sword draw and started her own guard attack, doing more effective damage. The dragon growled and focused on Izuku, who jumped back as he saw it try to claw him. "Ah man, it seemed peace," Mina said in surprise as the dragon growled and stared down at Izuku. "No really. I thought it was in a good mood," Jiro said sarcastically. Izuku landed on the ground and looked up and saw that despite all the hits they were landing, they were barely hurting it at all. So, Izuku decided they need to bust out their big guns. "Neptune, you need to transform into your HDD form. Your body is too thick for us to keep attacking randomly," Izuku said as he blocked a thunder breath, hurting him a great deal. Izuku coughed up some blood in pain. "Come on, Nifanji Deku. If you're going to get your butt kicked by an oversized lizard, then don't bother being a hero." Bakugo yelled angrily. "Yeah, you can win, Deku." Uraraka cheered for her friend. "Come on. You got this." Kuda cheer as well. The group stared at the three in amusement before turning back towards the screen. Everyone's eyes widened in shock as Izuku looked toward them and gave a thumb up as though he heard them. Did he just? Zero started in shock. "I think he did," Mina said with a shocked expression. "Fourth wall break much?" Present Mike mumbled to himself softly. "Understood," Neptune said as she jumped back and her body started to cover in a glow as her body were changing. Her hair becomes a brighter shade with a very slight pink tone added and lengthens to her knees while her bangs and side parts before the ears also lengthen. Her eyes turn a bright blue color and her hair clip is now a round white piece with a blue center. Neptune's new form consisting of a black bikini-esque outfit with parts of purple and smaller blue glowing pieces. The top chest part is connected around the neck while her gloves and boots are above elbow and knee length. The hair piece is black. "She look good that," Denki said after a while. "Dude," Kirishima said with a sweat drop. "Oh come on. We were all thinking it," Denki said with his hand in the air in surround. Ida was blushing even harder at Neptune's beauty now. "Oh how I wish I can meet you. I would have asked you out if I could," Ida thought with a sigh. Izuku smiled at Neptune, happy she transformed and seemed stronger than normal in her HDD form. "Now let break his guard," Izuku said as he decided to get serious, his power going to 39% of his power. "Just let go, brother," Neptune said as she readied her sword, which seemed to change form as well and launch herself at the dragon. "So they are siblings. Well, that a shocker," Midnight said in surprise. I guess Izuku is the older brother if the way he carry himself in front of his sister," All Might said with his usual smile, setting in good example and being a role model for her. He earned 10 points in the Pussycat's respect system. Tiger said with a nod. "His sister is hot," Mineta said with a slight drool. "Try anything and I will kill you," Bakugo said with a growl. Mineta flinched and shut up at the blonde bomber threat. Izuku jumped into the air and came down with his legs on the dragon head, doing great damage with each blow, but the dragon is proving to be stronger than it looked. My goodness. I can see why Neptune had a hard time with this one. We brought down its guard point greatly, but it still stand. Neptune said as she blocked the dragon strike with its claw attack. Then let hit with our EXE attack, Izuku said as he landed next to Neptune. EXE attack? Everyone asked in confusion. Is that some sort of special attack? Kuda asked with a head tilt. I guess so, Mandalay said with a shrug. I see. That can work. Okay, let do it. Nepgear said with a smile as she and Izuku closed their eyes. Suddenly a small flash of Izuku and Nepgear appear with serious expression as the world seemed to transform around them and a title came up. Brother and Sister Combo Shot. Not the best name, but it will do. Mina said with a sheepish smile. I don't know. It sound cute to me. Toru said cheerfully as he cloths swing side to side. I agree. I like it a lot. Tsuyu said with a head tilt. But inside, she was imaging her siblings making a combo attack with each other. It warmed her heart at the thought of it. Let end this, Nepgear. Izuku said as he summoned a circle of energy on his palms. Yes. Let end it. Nepgear said as she pointed her sword gun at the dragon, who was charging at them, and Izuku jumped behind her and started to feed her weapon with power. 100% maximum charge. Nepgear said as the dragon got closer, it moved glowing with its most power attack. Let go further beyond. Plus ultra. Izuku said as he started to feed more energy. That sticks to him even in another world. Mina said happily. That is strange. I didn't think that motto would be in this world as well. Todoroki said in surprise. And the fact that Deku is overcharging the attack is strange too. He usually more careful with his attacks. Uraraka said with a sweat drop. Guess in this world he more all-in kind of guy. Now that manly. Kirishima said with many tears. Everyone sweat drop at that but ignore it in favor to see how this end. Be brother? It going to blow. Nepgear said in fear as her gun was reaching critical as the dragon shot a thunder beam that was huge enough to cover a whole block. Now fire. Izuku said suddenly as he grabbed Nepgear from behind and warped his arms around her and her arms on her weapon to hold her in place. Alright. Nepgear said as she pulled the trigger, firing a bigger laser at the dragon and overpowering it thunder beam with ease and hitting the dragon. The dragon body turned to dust when it hit. Holy shit! That was surprisingly Todoroki who screamed that. That was effing huge. Bakugo said in shock, and feeling insulted that Deku from another world can overpower him. Now that overkill if I ever seen one. Tomoko, formerly known as Ragdoll, said in shock. Once the shot finished, Izuku and Nepgear gave each other a high five. Don't mess with this brother and sister combo attack. Nepgear cheer happily. Yeah. Izuku cheer as well as the world turned back to normal. Ah, siblings love. They're nothing more beautiful. Aoyama said with a pose. Everyone ignore him, but agree with his statement. Gugu and Aizu won. Kampa cheer from the side happily. I forgot she was here for a moment. Momo said in surprise. I did too. Uraraka said, blinking in surprise. Yeah. It seemed Nepgear is slowing getting stronger with each day. I may have to retire early if you're getting this strong. Izuku said with a chuckle. Nepgear turned back and blushed at the praise. She embarrassed. Hagakure gushed sweetly. She must not be used to praise like that from Izuku. Ida said with a That's strange. Knowing if in Deku, he would spoil the sheet out of her. Bakugo said in surprise. They mustn't spent much time together then. Momo said with her arm cross. Let keep watching before we jump to conclusion. All Might said, sweat dropping at how much his students were into this so far. Not as strong as you, bro. But I am grateful you think so highly of me. Nepgear said shyly. Of course. Now, let go make sure if and Neptune is okay. Izuku said as he ruffled her hair and started to walk back to town. Wait for me. I want to check on Nep and Iffy too. Kampa shouted as she quickly followed Izuku. She's so cute. Thought the guys in the room. Pixie Bob pout at how much cuter Kampa was to her. Life is so unfair. Pixie Bob though with anime tears going down her face. The Pussycats members sweat drop at their friend, knowing full well what was going on in her head. Nepgear lagged behind a little, but she was fist pumping the air in victory. Big brother is noticing me more. Yes. Nepgear cheer mentally as she was happy Izuku was paying more attention to her. He was always busy with work and cleaning up Neptune and the other CPU's mess. He also helped teach and raise the other CPU candidates to fill their roles for the future. But now she was starting to get her brother attention slowly. I see. Izuku have a lot more on his plate than we originally thought. Momo said in surprise at Izuku duty. That not surprising since Deku always do what he can to help everyone. Uraraka said with knowing grin to Ida, who was grinning back. As his two best friends, they can safely assume they know him better than most. So it no surprise to them when Izuku is doing all he can to help for the CPUs. She cheerfully followed behind the two with a skip in her step. Well, that was a thing. We got plenty more to see. Denki said exactly. I guess. I hope we don't stay here forever. Izawa said with a tired sigh. Meh. That kid said time is freeze back home, so we be good for now. Present Mike said cheerfully. Yeah, let's just enjoy this and learn what we can. I'm sure we can use some of these worlds to better our own in a way. Midnight said as she pick up a can of soda and open it. I hope goes wrong. Aizawa said with another sigh. Everyone was chatting up on what they watch and coming up with theories on what these worlds are like. I still can't believe that Izuku lives so many lives and potential he have in them. Ida said. I know, right? It make you wonder on how powerful our Izuku can get, doesn't it? Mina said with giggle at the thought of a godlike Izuku. That does raise a question. Will we see Izuku as a villain? All Might ask with a worry frown. Everyone stare at All Might for a few seconds before bursting out laughing. Izuku? As a villain? That the most ridicule thing I heard. Siro said with a guts-bursting laugh. Yeah. Izuku is just too much of a bro to be a bad guy. Denki said with a chuckle. It is possible. Momo said with a shudder. Wait, what? Momo, you can't actually think there a world Izuku would be a villain, do you? Mina asked with a rose brow. Yes. All it take is one bad day after all. Momo said with a faraway look in her eyes. No one said anything at what Momo said, but they felt a chill goes up their spine. It impossible for Izuku, sweet and kind Izuku, to be a villain, right? It should. They should know it isn't possible. So why do they feel like they are grateful that Izuku wasn't villain? Why do they feel dread crept on their spine at the thought? Well, whatever. Even if Deku was a villain, every villain would fail at one point. So not like it would be different. So let's just watch the next video. Bakugo said with a sneer as he turned towards the screen. Everyone just nodded and turned to the screen, thankful there was something to take their mind off this dangerous train of thought. For now at least. The screen started up. The screen show a 19-year-old Izuku strapped to a chair and looked to be in a daze. Well, crap. We are already in some deep shit. Denki said with a gulp as he didn't like where this was going. Izuku was wearing a green shirt with brown sleeveless jacket and tan pants on. A video camera was also on his lap. A shirtless bald man walked into view, mumbling a few words till he see the camera. Oh my god, he naked, isn't he? Mina asked in horror. And he caught Izuku. That not good. Not good at all. Jiro said with a slight glare at the screen at the man. Oh, home movies. This will give us a chance to talk. The man said happily as he turned it on and place on the sink. Oh good. You're going to record me being tutor. What a swell idea. Izuku thought sarcastically as he tried to regain his bearings. Is Izuku sassy the man? Mina asked, blinking in surprise. He did in fact sass him. But it was in his mind. Ida said with a nod, but he was more concerned on what happening to his best friend. Didn't think he had it in him. Mina said with a shrug. Who knew getting a punch straight to a skull can disable you for so long? This man was unnatural strong. Getting punch in the skull hurts. Like a lot. Midnight said with a wince. Why isn't he using his quirk? He could easily break free if he does. Uraraka asked with a frown. Don't forget this is a different world. There could be world where quirks don't exist or he may not even had any. Aizawa said with a sigh, but he was too busy glaring at the man who had the ball to touch his student. If that man do anything, I will ask that kid to bring him to me so I kill him. Aizawa thought darkly. I see. I hope Deku will be okay if he doesn't have a quirk. Uraraka said with a worry frown. No one noticed All Might shaking at what he was seeing. He was shaking in rage that made his fight with Nomu look calm in comparison. Izuku saw the man started to sink and clean himself up a bit. Izuku looked down on the strap and started to struggle as he finally regained his bearings. As Izuku struggled, he saw a pair of shoeless feet came to view. "Oh God, he is naked," Mina said with her face going pale on her pink face. "Oh no," Izuku thought with a frightened expression. I was worried with how much time you've been spending with Father Martin," the man said as he walked toward the small table filled with not-so-friendly-looking tools. "I hope you haven't let him confuse you with his holier-than-thou Bible thumping," the man said as he seemed to be browsing his tools. "Of course not," Izuku whispered. His voice was hoarse from lack of water with all his running. "Seem Izuku is in some deeper sheet than we thought," Shiro said with a gulp. "How did Izuku get into this situation? It like he just walked into hell without realizing it?" Pixie asked with a frown. "I don't know. But it does worry me greatly," Mandalay said with a shiver. "No offense to the man, but I sometimes worry he may be a bit on the crazy side at times," the man said with a polite tone. "Hey Pot, meet the cattle?" Izuku said simply as the man put a big knife to his throat, making Izuku nervous and shutting him up. Everyone chuckled at Izuku words before gulping at the big blade at Izuku's throat. It understandable really. When people get scared, they want to turn toward God since he died on the gold stand. "We're more on concrete faith now," the man said simply as he walked toward his tools. "You have to rob Paul to pay Peter. There's no other way really. Murder it is simplest form, but what happened when all the money is gone?" the man said as he seemed to be more concerned for finding the right tool to use on Izuku. "What the hell are you talking about?" Izuku said as he tried to wiggle out once more, but his straight was gone. "I agree. I'm not following any of this," Sato said with a confused frown. "It probably best you don't understand," Present Mike said with sweat drop. He was failing like a fish at this point. "Money come from faith. And that what I'm here for, to make you believe," the man said simply as he looked at Izuku's fingers before walking away to the side and pull out a big pair of scosier from the toilet stall. "Oh yes. Just pull out a giant pair of scoicer from the toilet," Izuku said with gulp as the man walked back to him, gripping his hands open and brought it up to Izuku's hand. "He wouldn't." Tokoyami started, his eyes starting to fill with anger. But Pixie cover Kuda eyes and Tiger cover his ears. The man blocked the view of what he doing to Izuku's hand, but based on the scream tearing itself from Izuku's throat and the sounds of flesh being cut. It was 20/20 of what the man was doing. Everyone was shaking at the sound of Izuku's screaming in pain. The noise was burned into their mind as they weren't used to strong-will Izuku's screaming in pain like this. All Might had steams coming off his body and his fists tightened in rage. Never had he felt just hatred and wanting to kill someone before. It frightened him to feel like this, but deep down, he didn't care as his son was in pain and he couldn't do anything. "This is just sick," Present Mike said with growl. A room full of heroes, unable to help someone in pain and in need of help. That frustration greatly, but they just sat and watched, hoping and praying Izuku will be alright by the end of this. But some of them held back tears at Izuku's pain-sounding screams. Bakugo was shaking in anger at the sound. Izuku's vision was darkening as the man spoke again. "You paying attention?" the man asked loudly as he smacked Izuku to keep him from passing out from the pain. "Don't you dare pass out on me. There's still a lot more for you to absorb." The man hissed as he started to do the same thing he did to Izuku's other hand like he did to the first one. Izuku shouted in pain as the camera blocked the view once again. Bakugo was shaking in anger. He wanted to kill that bastard so much right now. How dare he hurt Deku? "Please don't hurt him anymore," Momo said with her hands held tightly together. Todoroki was shaking in anger. If they ever cross path, he will kill him on the spot without fail. This he swear. Izuku managed to stop screaming as he looked at his hands to see them cover in blood. Everyone winced as they saw the damage done to Izuku forever. His right hand was missing his index finger and his left hand was missing his middle finger. Izuku was sure the man was saying something, but at this point he was too much in pain to even care as he tried to bite the pain down as the man rolled his trolling out and closing the door. Izuku started to scream in pain as he tried to move his hands and started to fight against the straps harder. Come on, Deku. Escape, you little sheet. Bakugo growl out. Yeah, escape and get out of there. Tsuyu beg, showing the most emotions than anyone ever saw her shown. Midnight was rubbing her eyes. She hated seeing things like this. But she was glad this kind of thing still have some affects on her. It means she still have a heart and her sense of human duty haven't changed. It's easy to get used to this to the point of not being affected anymore, but to still feel something means you're not dead inside just yet. Thanks to the pain he was in, his adrenaline was higher than before and he managed to break out of the straps. He managed to wobbling stand up and took a few steps to the sink before he almost fell over and caught the sink. He started to vomit his guts out as his hands were still bleeding like crazy. That right, buddy. Just let out and regain your bearings. Kirishima said softly. He can't hurt you. Hagakure said awkwardly. I know that. Kirishima said with straight face. Aizawa's face was twitching at how emotional his students were. He need to teach them to not let their emotions blind them. It could get them killed in the future. But he would lying if he say he didn't felt hatred to the man that hurted Izuku. Izuku looked at his hands again after he finished vomiting. At least I still keep the other's fingers. That a plus. Izuku said, trying to calm his nerves with his words, but he was still in so much pain. Everyone sighed at Izuku's words, feeling sorry for Izuku's attempt to calm his nerves. Coulda cringe. He still remember how badly damaged Izuku was. He saved him from his parents' killer. And while this wasn't exactly as bad as then, it still hurt to see someone so amazing hurt so badly. Izuku managed to regain his bearings enough to stand up straight and grab his camera. I'm retiring from journalism after this. I think I seen all the hell I can see for my age at this place. Izuku said as he started to make his way to the door. I need to listen to my girlfriend more. Momo was right for me to not take this case. Izuku said as he opened the door and started to sneak around quietly. Momo's face turned bright as Izuku's words. I'm his girlfriend in this world. Why does that make me happy slightly? Momo thought with an embarrassed expression as she ignored the teasing she was getting from her friends. Momo was now more worried for Izuku's safety since she is in a relationship with him in that world. Who knew having a boyfriend was terrifying? Mineta, meanwhile, was shaking in anger. Inen you Izuku. You may be awesome, but you already have enough girls pinning after you already. Don't get more in different worlds to you BSD. Mineta mentally scream. I hope there really is a god. 'Cause I will need him more than ever. Izuku thought with a gulp as he started to check around the area. A few moments later, Izuku ran past the man from earlier and jumped up a vent to safety. He managed to quickly maneuver his way away from that area and got out to a hall. He quickly moved to a door and entered, closing the door as he did. He made sure to use his night visions on his camera to see better in case he see the man or some crazy nut job trying to kill him again. Everyone took in the details of the room Izuku was in and were shocked. Is he in a psyche ward? And if so, what the hell happened? Denki asked in horror as he saw how torn up the place was and how deformed the people in the room was. I have no idea. But I think they weren't getting help, but more like they were genie pigs for whatever happened here. Toru said with a shiver. Let hope Izuku get out before things go to more hell. Present Mike mumble in worry. He keep his breathing steady and his footsteps light as possible to avoid giving himself away. At least he being careful. That the important part here to survive this place. Aizawa thought with a sigh. I want to go home. I want to go home and just pass out and sleep this off like a bad hangover. Izuku thought as he opened a door toward another room and saw only one person in the center of the room was alive and breathing. Izuku tried to sneak by him, but he started to scream, cursing Izuku out with threats. I'm not the doctor. Izuku begged, trying to calm the man down, but then he turned around and saw the doctor from before ran toward with the same scosier that took his fingers. Buddy! The man shouted happily, as though he was seeing an old friend again. F you! Bakugo shouted as the man longed. There's still a child here. Ida repaint Bakugo. Now not the time you two. Uraraka shouted at the two who about to argue. Yes madam. The two said with their heads down. Diamond she cute when she angry. Bakugo thought with a growl. Nope. Nope that sheet. I'm noping the F out of here. Izuku shouted as he started to run away. Izuku bust open a door and down the hall while the man follow after him. Izuku turned to the side and ran down faster, but stopped as he was in the dead end. Oh come on. Mina shouted while ruffle her hair frustration. I guess his luck is still the same no matter which world he is in. Aoyama said with a sigh. F dash. Izuku cursed as the man turned the concern and ran toward Izuku. Izuku got behind a tip-over bed and panicked a little. Sheet, what can I do? Izuku said in horror as the man got closer and swung his knife at Izuku. Izuku dodged the knife and vaulted over the bed and ran away again. Did he just slide over a bed on its sides? Everyone thought with a sweat drop. Sick moves bro. Izuku joked lightly to himself as he started to make haste toward the door at the end of the hallway and pushed the heavy thing in front of it to open the said door. Izuku barely managed to move it enough to open the door and shut it close before running again for his life. He saw a vent ahead of him and jumped into it and started to move deeper in it. After a short distance, he saw an opening and jump out. He landed in front of the toilets and walk in. Does he need to take a leak? I mean, isn't he running for his life and all? Toru asked with a deadpan voice. Well, he may be looking for something. That could be useful. He is outnumbered and have nothing but a camera, so he must be trying to use whatever he find to help himself. Be it food, medical supplies, and hopefully weapons. Ojiro said with a thinking expression. That makes sense. It better than just running around blind after all. Plus, if he need to run, he would know good places to hide if he saw them beforehand. Shoji said with a He looked around, saw a file and grabbed it and put in his jacket. He can read it when he no longer in danger. I wonder what is in it. Mina questioned out loud. Hopefully something that can shed light to place. All Might said with a tired sigh. Izuku walked out of the bathroom and to a room close to the restrooms and looked around. He saw 2 doors in the distance with a cross on top and went toward it. Please have what I need. Izuku silently prayed. He opened the door slowly and quietly and looked around. Once he saw the coast was clear, he went into the hall and saw some sort of desk with the window. He walked over to it and looked inside and had to stop himself from jumping in joy as he saw the key to the elevator. He slid across the table and quickly grabbed the key. And this is where things get bad. Tomoko said with a sigh. She's seen enough horror movies to know what happened next. Victory. Izuku thought happily, before jumping in fright as he saw the door was suddenly stabbed into it. Oh what the hell? Izuku shouted in shock horror as he ran toward the table and slid across again as the door was torn open by the man that was chasing him earlier. Call it. Tomoko said with a slight smug expression. Oh hush you horror movie addict. Pixie said with a pout. Still sour about that movie night we had? Tomoko asked with a smirk. Pixie decided that the most adult thing to do would be sticking out her tongue in response. Izuku ran back to the room and gulped as he realized he had nowhere to run to. He quickly hid behind the door and held his breath, steadying his heart and waited. That won't work. Jiro said with a sigh. The man ran in seconds later and saw a door open to side where the restroom was and ran in there, thinking Izuku was in there. Izuku wasted no time as he bolted out and slid over the desk again and through the door the man had torn open. That I'm more upset than I should be that actually work. Jiro said with an eye twitch. I think you forgot that Izuku luck is so random. Mineta said with a chuckle. Shut up great boy. Jiro said with a sigh. Izuku was lucky enough for the hallway he went into was connect to the route he needed to get the elevator and started to run even faster. Izuku shut the doors behind him as he went till he got to the elevator and started it up with the key. He sighed in relief as the elevator doors closed and he went down. Thank goodness. I got away from him for now. Izuku said with a sigh. I'm glad that Deku got to safety and away from the man. Uraraka said with a shiver at the thought of Izuku getting captured by him again. Is safe. There's no way for that man to get through the elevator without injuring himself greatly. So even if he jumped down for him, he will not last long for it to hurt. Momo said with small smile as she was glad that Izuku was safe for now. Mineta said as he pointed to the screen. Are you kidding me? Momo shouted in horror. I'm not giving up on you yet. The man voice screamed out as Izuku's eyes widened in shock as the man was already on the floor below and was opening the gate door. How did you get down here so fast? Izuku demanded as the man ignored his question and got in the elevator. Once he tried to slash at Izuku, but Izuku caught his wrist and started to wrestle him out of the elevator as it kept going down. I see. Izuku isn't a fighter, but this proof on how weak he is in a fight. Jiro said with a sigh as she saw how much Izuku was struggling. Or it could be that Mad Doctor is stronger than he look. Denki suggest. That also and possibly as well. He managed to dodge a few slashes and push him out, but the man wouldn't let go of Izuku's wrist. The man was being pulled down and tripped in surprise as his upper body was now in the elevator and his lower half was outside. Everyone's eyes widened in shock as what they were about to witness. The man screamed in terror before crushing of bones was heard and man went still. He dropped his weapon and was complete still. Izuku tried to regain his breath from what just happened. Did Izuku just kill a man? Ojiro asked in shock at what Izuku just did. It was an accident. He tried to push out of the elevator, not snap him with it. Aizawa said quickly, but even was shaken up on what Izuku did by pure mistake. Oh, I see. That makes sense. Mina said shakily, not likely that Izuku had killed someone, even by mistake. All Might was worried for the boy's psyche. Killing isn't easy to deal with, no matter how much you wish for it not to be true or try to ignore it. I guess you didn't have a spine after all. Izuku said, trying to joke once again to cope with what just happened, but he was close to passing out in shock. Too soon, Izuku. Too soon. Kirishima said with a groan. You're smiling. Aoyama said with a deadpan voice. I know and I hate it. Kirishima said with a facepalm. Izuku managed to regain his breathing and his nerves and look around the elevator and saw an opening on top of the elevator. He jumped up and climbed out and slip out of the opening to the same floor the man's legs were in. He looked at the man one last time and walk away. He looked at the camera he had on through the whole thing and saw it was low on battery. He sighed as he replaced them. He turned the camera on him and started to speak to it. I swear to every god and goddesses out there that I will find a way to get out of this alive. But my chances for survival is dropping down with each second. I haven't ate or sleep for however long I was here. I haven't found good place to rest either and I can feel myself getting slower as I go on. Izuku said as he looked around and saw stairs. I see. He doesn't seem to rest much. Mina said sadly. I think that 'cause if he stay in one place for too long, he can be captured or killed by a madman like that doctor again. Ida said with a sigh. That seemed to be the case, young Ida. But he also losing steam. He need to find somewhere to camp out at for at least an hour or so. Otherwise, he won't last for much longer. Midnight said seriously. I'm not going to lie. I'm scared. I'm scared I may not get out of this. I'm scared I may never see my mother again. I'm scared I may never see my friends again. But most importantly, I'm scared that I may never see the love of my life again. Izuku said as he kept going down the stairs. Momo, if you by some miracle you found this if I die, I want you to know I'm sorry for not listening to your advice on this one. I want you to know the time we spent together is the best I ever had in my life and I wish I could enjoy more time with you. But it look like I won't. So please, if you do somehow get this message in wake of my death, I want you to try to move on. I want you to live a happy life and find someone else in the future to be happy with if I die here tonight. Izuku said to the camera as he saw his only out was through a crack on the wall. Even in death, he still cared for her and want her to move on should he fail to get of this alive. Talk about a loyal soul. Tiger said with a surprised expression. It goes to show you just how much he truly loved Momo. He cared for her too much for wanting her to cry for his death. To him, her happiest come first. Tsuyu said with her eyes closed, trying to not let Izuku's words hurt. He will make it out alive. He Izuku Midoriya. He saves people and always return home to his loved ones. That will always be true to any version of him. Momo had tears in her eyes at Izuku's message to his Momo. It was sweet and kind. But it held so much sadness and pain. He truly believed he may not come out of it alive. And for some reason, it hurt her chest when it shouldn't hurt this much. She wasn't in a relationship with him, so did it hurt so much? Anyways, I will keep filming till the end. The world need to know the truth and I pray to make it out of this nightmare alive. Izuku said as he turned the camera off and slid through the wall. May God have mercy on me. Izuku thought as he slid through the wall and into the room. End of the video. For a while, the room was silence, unsure of what to say. What could be said? They just witnessed their friend in pain and seemed to drop at any moment. Please be safe, Izuku. Momo whispered to herself. And that it. I hope you all enjoy this and see you till next time. PS ideas if you can. They can be anything as long I can work with it to make it T-rated and mess around with. Also here a small idea preview for later chapters. Note, this will be later on in the story, but not the next chapter unless many request. Caption. Stop sitting on Ryona like a chair. Off that. She likes it. Please don't make him move. I want more pressure. Shut up, Beach. I'm eating here. Please keep going. God damn it, you too. Everyone was still reeling from what they saw. It's not easy to witness your friend's student idol goes through that horrific experience, being not able to help is hunting to say the least. But Momo was the most effective one since that version of Izuku is her boyfriend, and to see him suffer, exhausted to the point of close to passing, and the last message to her should he die is heartbreaking to her. But she will hang on to hope for that version of Izuku's safety. 'Cause she knew Izuku wouldn't fail someone important to him, no matter the world. She was brought out of her musing by Mina. Well, that was a thing. Mina said with a sheepish smile. That putting it lightly, Mina. Denki said with sigh. Well, I'm sure the next one will be better than what we saw. I hope we can avoid Deku being tutored like that again. I almost hurled my lunch. Uraraka said with a sigh. I'm sure we will get something easier on the eyes this time. But I wonder what will be next though. Tokoyami said with a expression. Well, guess we will get our answer now, 'cause it's starting. Jiro said as the screen started to flick alive. Everyone turned to it and got ready to view this world, but also braced themselves for something crazy as well. Izuku was wearing a black dress suit, his shoes leathers loafers, his hair slide back, and he was wearing an eye patch on his left eye. He looked around 24 and have a rough edge to him. Everyone blink at this version of Izuku. This doesn't feel like their Izuku at all. This Izuku have that dangerous look to him by just standing there. Did he look hot like that? Mina said after a while. Really? Tsuyu said with a more deadpan expression than normal. We were all thinking it. Mina defended herself with a blush. Well, she not wrong. Pixie said with a sheepish smile as the PP cat's facepalm at Pixie. Let's just get back to this before someone take this too far. All Might said with a sweat drop. Everyone nodded and turned back to the screen. I can't hit a customer, it manager policy. Izuku said simply as he stared at the man in front of him, who was frowning at Izuku words. This man was Nishitani. He is wearing his fuchsia suit, with brown shoes. He has a light goatee with his hair parted down the middle on both sides, and his eyes are a little sunken into his head. He is impeccably dressed that put a lot of businessmen to shame. Damn that one awesome suit. Bakugo thought as he stared at the suit. He want one now. He felt a small note in his hand and read it as he saw words on it. Already in your room ready for you. Just try to not ruin it somehow. The note had read. Beaching. Bakugo thought with a smirk. Nishitani just stared at Izuku for a few seconds before chuckling. Oh man, you are just a precious little gift that just keep giving. Nishitani said. With a craze-induced smile. But isn't this a little predicament? Gotta respect your policy, Izuku-kun. But I also gotta fight you. I got a real blood chub coming on. Nishitani said as he moved his hip a little. Oh great. He insane and horny to fight Izuku. That not creepy at all. Siro said sarcastically as he had to hold back a groan. He like a more creepy version of Stain. And I thought that was impossible. Toridoki said with a surprised expression as he saw that crazed smile and hip motion. Men like him. They are dangerous. Too dangerous. Aizawa said as he recalled fighting some insane people when he started out in his career. Those were some of the dangerous men he faces, and strangely enough, respected. Did you say something, sensei? Denki asked as he heard his teacher mumble something to himself. Nothing important. Just go back to watching the clip. Aizawa said with a deadpan expression. Yes, sir. Denki said with a nod. But what is Zuko doing for work for him to not fight the man? It weird. Kirishima asked. It probably a bar of some sort. Mina suggests as she look at the surrounding Izuku was in. I'm not sure. It too fancy to be a simply bar. Midnight mumbled to herself. Didn't need to know that. Izuku thought as his expression stood stone still. Sweet. I got just the thing. Gimme a sec. Nishitani said simply as he made his way to the nearby table with a phone. Pick it up and then dial number. Nishitani waited a bit before it was pick up. Oh, yellow? Copper? Great. This is the manager of the Grand Cabaret. Nishitani said in false hurry. Deku runs an cabaret club? Why would he run something like that? Bakugo said in shock angry. Wow. I didn't expect that one. Mineta said with surprise expression, but then grit his teeth. Demented. He's surrounded by beautiful women all the time. Mineta thought with a jealousy air to him. But why is he calling the cops? It make no sense. Mandalay said as she try make sense of such action. It make perfect sense. Izuku said he don't hit customers and this Nishitani is one. All Might said as he really knew what was going on. But that just insane. Why would he call the cops on himself just to fight Izuku? Present Mike asked in surprise. Now one could understand a mind of a madman. Aizawa said wisely. Everyone blink in surprise by Aizawa. It rare to see him so serious about something. What? Izuku asked in surprise. I got this whack job of a Yakuza waving around a big ol' knife around. Nishitani said in a panic. Yakuza? Everyone thought with a narrow stare. No siree, he definitely not a customer. He's a robber. Get down here quick, okay? Nishitani finish as he hang up the phone and smile. You're outta yet DM in mind. Izuku said in shock. The man just chuckled at Izuku words. Guess who isn't a customer anymore? I'm a bona fide robber now. Just ask the cops. Nishitani said with a calm voice, but his smile is once again insane. Don't tell me that manager policy of yours extended. To robbers too? Gotta protect your own club, don't ya? Nishitani asked with a smirk. Why is he so obsessed with Izuku? Momo asked in a worried tone. I don't know. But whatever the reason is, he's serious about this fight. Ida said with a sigh. I'm sure Izuku can handle it till the cops arrives. He look like he can put up a good fight. Toru said with confidence in her voice as she punches the air with her arms to prove her point. I hope so. The person Izuku is fighting isn't normal. All Might mumble in worry for Izuku. Izuku just stare at him. He just call the cops on himself just to get me to fight him. Why? Izuku thought to himself. So quit playing the tease and let me have it, Izuku. This ain't even about work anymore. Let have some fun. Nishitani said as he pulled out his knife and got into a fighting stance. If you're that bent on it, I'll play alone. Be nice to take a little break from work myself. Izuku said as he got into his thug-style stance. Look like Izuku know how to fight. That good. Tsuyu said happily. Yeah. Let's see if he have the skills to use his fighting style correctly. Tiger said with his arm crossed as he stared at Izuku's stance as he never saw it before. You ready, Izuku-kun? Don't go letting me down now. Nishitani said as he growled in excitement. Izuku rushed Nishitani before he could react and lay 2 punches. One on the gut and the other in his face, but he just shrugged it off and quick step behind Izuku and slash him twice and stab Izuku in the gut before Izuku did a spin roundhouse kick to Nishitani's face and quick step back as he needed room. Everyone cringed as they saw that Izuku was the first blood, but were surprised at how Izuku just shrugged the stab off like it nothing. That must be some pain-resist ion. Ojiro said with a cringe as some blood was leaking out of the wound. You should note it. Sometimes you will be pushing yourself to fight with worst wounds. Midnight said as the students nodded. They remember how badly Izuku was when fighting some villains to help everyone. So they weren't no stranger to danger of being a hero thanks to him. But it'd still be nice to avoid wounds like that. Okay, thug style won't work, so how about breaker style? Izuku thought as he was then covered in pink aura and his stance change into a dancer pose. Everyone rose an eyebrow at the pink aura and change of stance. Nishitani try rush Izuku at speed faster than most people couldn't keep up with, but Izuku sidestep with a spin. As Nishitani turn around, he was meet with a foot to the face. A lots of foots in fact as Izuku was spinning on his head and had his legs open to kick him in the face at a fast pace. Izuku finished his attack with a power kick to send his opponent back a few feet and use his hands to pick his head up and stop his spine. That's so cool. I want to learn how to do that. Mina said in awe. That was pretty awesome. Jiro said as she saw how powerful it was. I'm sure if we ask the person who brought us here, we can have him teach you this. Ida suggest. The two thought about it for a while and nodded. It was a good idea to ask. How do you like my head spin? Izuku asked with a smirk as he got back up from the ground and redid his fighting stance. Nishitani simply smiled and got up. This is the most fun I had in a while. You don't disappoint, Izuku-kun. Nishitani said as he readied his knife once more. Izuku simply frowned and his aura turned blue, going back to his thug style. Why does his aura-like thing change color when he changes his fighting style? Sato asked with a confused frown. I have no idea. I guess it's supposed to help Izuku focus or something of that nature. Shoji said with a shrug. I can see that. But would it give him away in a fight if he changed color like that? Koda asked with a worry expression. Not quit. Even if one can know the styles he uses, doesn't mean they can handle them all. People usually stick to one and have to use that. This Izuku have a few and can adapt with it by changing it at a moment notice to fight. Momo said as she studied Izuku fighting tactics. The pro heroes were impressed by Izuku's ability to change styles like that. They will admit they could use someone like that in the hero side. Nishitani rushed at Izuku and made an stab motion, but Izuku managed to palm it high to the air and both had their back toward each other as they look up to the knife as it was falling back down. Both of them jump for it and reach out for it, hoping to get it before the other person did. The screen then fade into white as they reach for it. It turned back to normal with both pair of feet landed on the ground. It showed the two in a Silamaire landing position. But there one different here. Izuku had the knife in his hands. Izuku quickly spun around as Nishitani turned to attack Izuku before he could use it, but was stopped as the knife slashed his neck and small amount of blood came off it. Did Izuku just slash the man in his neck? Ida asked in shock at how brutal Izuku is. Yeah, that should have killed him too. Aoyama said in shock at how Nishitani just shrugged that off. Izuku threw the knife back to the air as Nishitani recovered and was punched in the face, then returned his own punch to the face. Izuku then brought his fist to Nishitani's stomach, making him cough up blood before punching Izuku in the face again, but this time, making him spite blood and making a crack noise was heard as he was hit. Then, the two did a kick to the chest at the same time, making them stumble back in pain as blood came out of their blood. Holy shit, this brutal. Bakugo said in surprise at how hard the two were going at it. It like watching tow animals trying to kill each other. Pixie said with a gulp at how hard they were going at it. One of them is going to drop soon if they keep going at it like that. I hope Izuku wins. Tomoko said as she had to held back a shiver at how deadly these two were. She don't ever want to fight either of them, even if she had her quirk. But they were just that dangerous. They both look up and saw the knife was coming down. They both rushed for it and threw a kick with the knife in the middle. Izuku was lucky as he kicked the handle, making the knife stab Nishitani through the calves. That was pure luck there. Present Mike said with a relieved sigh as he saw that Izuku was okay so far. Yeah. But man, that was awesome. Kuda said as he liked how the fight was so far. It was like a movie in a weird way. It should be over now. He can't keep fighting like that. Aizawa said with a sigh, but he was happy his student had won. Nishitani fell to the ground as he had his own knife literary kick into him. That should stop him. Izuku thought as Nishitani just took the knife out of his leg and get back up like nothing happened. Ah, come on. That should have stunned you at least. Izuku thought with a growl as he glowing blue now like he had simmers coming off his body. What is up with this man? He been beaten worse than Izuku so far, his leg is damaged and he still want to fight more. Denki said in fear. He must be able to feel pain to an extent. Tokoyami said with sweat coming off his brow. And he not even giving this fight his all. He trying to savor it as much as he can. Midnight said as she realized how slow he was fighting like. Izuku rushed toward Nishitani did a drop kick, but he missed as Nishitani did a sidestep and stab Izuku in the shoulders. Izuku grunted in pain as he landed before he glow yellow. Slugger style time. Izuku thought as he need to use his heavy hitting attacks. He pulled out his base bat and got ready. And now yellow? What does the colors mean? Mina asked with a confused sigh. I think they represent the type of style he using. Pink is a speed type of fighting style, while yellow is power and blue is a balance of the two. Ojiro said as he studied the styles closely and saw how different they were all truly are. That an interesting way to change style. Mina said in surprise. I love how you keep chancing your styles. It make you much more adaptable to any fight. Even if someone knew your styles, they can't stop all of them when others idiots only ever use one. I mean, this one bounty hunter tried to fight me with SYCH, but I kick out of her hands and she was so boring and predictable. I honestly just walk away in boredom. Cute thing though. Nishitani said with a fond sigh. Wait, what? Everyone said in disbelief. He can't be serious. Midnight said. It not the weariest thing we heard, but that just wrong in so many levels. Present Mike said with a sweat drop. Izuku wouldn't admit, but he kind of having fun with this a little. But suddenly, something cut off the fun they were having. Freeze! The cops shouted as they burst in. Izuku and Nishitani blink in surprise by the sudden noise. They totally forgot about them coming here. I totally forgot about them coming here. Izuku whispered to himself. Everyone facepalm at Izuku. How could you forget that? You fucker! Bakugo shouted in annoyance. It can happen, did you not just see how brutal they were going at it? Uraraka said, trying to calm down Bakugo. That no excuse for those dumbasses. Bakugo said with a growl as he crossed his arm and sat back down. Uraraka just laughed nervously, but otherwise said nothing else as she scooted closer to Bakugo without anyone noticing. Look like my fun been cut short and it was just getting good too. Nishitani said with a disappointed sigh as he got up and put both his arms up with his knife visible. Hey coppers! I was the one who was causing trouble. Nishitani said with a smile as he walking toward them. You're kidding me. The Mad Dog of Japan was robbing this place. One of the cops said in surprise. Mad Dog of Japan? He that well know. Jiro said in surprise. He must been a good at his work then. Momo said with a narrow stare. He must have found something fun here. One of the older cops said with a sigh, totally used to seeing him around. Wait, Nishitani. Who is telling you to hunt the girl down? Izuku demanded with a growl. But Nishitani just gave a small chuckle and turned to Izuku with a crazed smile. Hee hee, gotta save a little fun for next time, big boy. I've decided you're my new favorite toy. Izuku-kun. Nishitani said with a grin as the cop came over to him and started to drag him away. And clip. So Izuku is protecting someone? That not a surprise, but the person getting hunt down is. Kirishima said with thinking expression. Yeah. But that was a pretty good fight though. Tokoyami said as he enjoyed the fight the two had. It was almost like a movie in a strange way, but he knew it was real as Izuku was really bleeding in this clips. Well, I suggest we take a break and eat something. I'm sure we are all hungry. All Might said to everyone. Everyone nodded at the former number one hero and got out of the chairs and went to get something to eat. Mina and Jiro were looking for the guy who brought them here to ask about learning Izuku Breaker style. Everyone came back after eating a hearty meal and had smiles on their faces. While that was good, I didn't think chicken could taste so good. Denki said as he rubbed his stomach. And the rice. It was so good with it. I never thought Mexico had such amazing food. Momo said as she was happy that she tried something so good. Yeah, well, my pops is from a Hispanic background, so it makes sense he knew a few dishes from a Mexican family. The teen from before said as she walked in with a bowl of ramen. Wow. I forgot who ramen from Japan tastes so good. I should bring my dad around there. The teen said as she slurped up more. Who are you? Are the kid's sister? All Might asked with a confused expression. Nope. I'm the same person. I can change my gender at will. The teen said casually as she placed the bowl down and wiped her hands clean with the napkins. Anyway, I just came to tell you all after a few more videos and whatnot, I will bring in the Izukus from each of those worlds to train you all. But you're not allowed to ask them personally questions unless they say it alright, and if you keep pressing on them, then I will erase your memory of here and send you back. Understood? The teen said with a glare. Understood. It would be a huge benefit to get trained from people from others' worlds. It can open up more possibility too. Midnight said with a nod. Good. And Bakugo. The teen turned her head to the blonde. What? Respect them when they get here. 'Cause they can kill you easily even if you had your quirk. So no, I'm better than thou bullshit. You're going to be a hero? Then grow up and get out of that mental A before you get yourself and someone close kill. Trust me, people like you die first and I rather not see that, even if you deserved it for your torture on Izuku. The teen said, but the last part was in a whisper. Bakugo just flipped her off and got a punch in a gut that made him cough up blood. Strike one. I'm not playing games with you of all people. The teen said as she wiped her hand and turned back to the group. Before anyone asked. I don't hate him. I'm simply trying to teach him to hold in his rage and not have to do an explosion every 10 seconds. It will hurt him more if he doesn't learn it sooner than later. The camping trip being a prim example of it. The teen said with a sigh. The teachers just nodded in agreement as the teens just sweat drop. That pretty extreme, don't you think? Ida asked. I could do worst, but I need him to learn on his own. He a smart kid but not wise. Beside, he learned better like this as far I can see. The teen said with a shrug. Bakugo was still holding his stomach in pain. Anyway, here the next video. I hope you guys enjoy this one. It took a while to find this one. The teen said as she snapped her finger. Oh thanks. But before you leave, what your name? Ida asked. My name is Leo. That my name? Leo said as she made her way out. Everyone's sweat dropped as Bakugo got up from the ground and sat down on the couch with some heavy breathing. I felt like I got hit by 20 trucks being smashed by All Might with an Rhino for good measure. Bakugo thought with a groan as he stared at the screen. Everyone sat down and stared at the screen, wondering what they are going to see this time. An orange-haired girl was drawing a circle in the dirt and looked hurt. Who that? Present Mike asked with a confused expression. I don't know, but she seemed really hurt. All Might said with a narrow stare at the girl wounds. Senpai. We need to hurry. A girl called out as she used her shield to fend off the enemy attack. Just wait a little more. I'm about to roll the gacha. The orange-haired girl shouted back as she put 3 rainbow-looking crystal on the circle. Hurry. We can't hold out for much longer. A blonde lady shouted as she fought with her flag. I'm guessing they are trying to get help and using the circle as an anchor for any summon ritual they are going to use. Momo said in surprise. But where is Zuko? Shouldn't he be here? Ojiro asked with a confused expression since this should be about Izuku. Based on what going, I think he will be here via summon. Jiro said with a shrug. Please work. We need help and I can work with anyone here. At least give us something to hold out till my brother get here. The orange-haired girl begged as she started the summoning ceremony. The circle started to glow and everything started to look good, but then trouble reared its ugly head. Ack! The blonde-haired lady shouted in pain as she fell to the ground holding a deep gash on her sides. Oh no! We have one down. Kirishima said in horror. They are losing ground. If they don't get back up soon, they will die. Mandalay said with gritted teeth. Don't worry. He is about to come after all. Bakugo said with an eye roll. Izuku may not make it in time. He may not be fast enough in this world. Shiro with an wry brow. Wanna bet? Bakugo said with a evil smirk. No. I'm good. Shiro said with a gulp. That what I thought. Bakugo said with an smug smirk. Jean and the orange hair call out in horror as Jean was badly hurt. The circle that was glowing exploded in pure power and a golden card appear, with a man with his back turned and had a cape with a helmet turning as though staring at the person behind them, but something strange happened. The golden card started to flicker and it changed to platinum. Platinum servant? The orange hair girl said in shock as the card started to take form. I'm guessing summons have ranks then if she's so surprised by the summoning of platinum. Ida said in surprise. Well, in games platinum is usually for the best in the group or game. The fact that gold turned platinum means whatever she's summoning will be strong as hell. Denki said with a smirk as he knew who was going to be platinum. That means Izuku is a platinum summon. Awesome. Mina said in awe. The cards show a heroic Izuku, with his mask on and mouthpiece covering his face, standing proud like his mentor All Might. The card glow and someone appear in its place. Hello. I'm Izuku Midoriya of the hero class. You have summoned me right. Guess you're in need of a hero, huh, master? Izuku said as his mask and mouthpiece was on. Master? Is he her SLV or something? Uraraka asked with a rose brow. I think it's like a familiar thing. She summon a servant and they serve her till death of either party. Tokoyami said with a sigh. Oh, that make more sense actually. Uraraka said with a nod. Meanwhile, some of the girls were blushing at the thought of Izuku calling them master and obeying them. Hee hee, I wouldn't mind that. Pixie Bob thought with a giggle. S6 stars. He the rarest ever. We can turn the tides now. The orange hair girl mentally cheer for her luck and thanks every gods out there for their mercy. There no time to example. My name is Gadako and we are in need of help. Gadako said quickly as she pointed to her friends in need of help. Izuku eyes scan the area and his eyes landed on the down Jean. Jean? Izuku asked in shock. He saw how badly she was hurt and his eyes started to glow green. Oh, he is pieces. Present Mike said with the blinking eyes. He seemed to know the blonde one. Momo said, her eyes narrowing with a small hint of anger and something else. Toradoki wanted to scoot away as he can feel it, but he wasn't willing to chance it. And 6 stars? I guess 5 is supposed to be hard to get. She must be lucky to have summoned Izuku then. Sato said with a small smile. Stand back, master. I shall end this. Izuku said as he stepped forward. Wait. I haven't brought your level up. Gadako said in worry. No need. We can do that later. Izuku said as kept walking forward. Is he cocky or just know how strong he is? 'Cause if she need to raise his level means he at his weakest at the moment. Denki said while bilking in surprise. Well, he did use to blow up his limbs before he got proper control. So he must have at least a good portion of it control of it now to be that confident. Ida said with a thinking posture. I hope you're right, 'cause he look ready to start war right now. Momo said as she saw Izuku walk to the enemy, his arms sparking. The girl with the shield dropped down to the ground as her shield was knocked out of her hand. No. The girl said as she was ready to die in failure. Smash. A voice call out and suddenly, the first half of the attackers were blown away. You all have some guts to be attacking a small group of girls. But then again, villains aren't above just cruelty. Izuku said as he stepped in front of the group and glared the enemy group. Wow. I forgot how powerful he is. Sato said in awe. It is easy to forget when he not blowing his limbs anymore. Sayu said casually. You're telling me. It easy to forget he can kick our butt to America if he wanted to with how emotional he is. Mineta said with sweat drop. Jean, who was still concision but unable to move, eyes widen in shock as she saw who came to help. He's here. Thanks goodness. Jean said happily as she knew they were in good hand now. Look like she know him as well. I wonder how they know each other. Toradoki said with a I wonder that too. But I'm sure we will find out soon. Aizawa said with sigh. The enemy attackers just snarl at Izuku and charge at him. But Izuku was not fazed nor scared. His body started to get covered in sparks, and as they got closer, he started to punch and kick them all down. None stood a chance against his power. He only level 1 and he can do that? Gudako said in shock. I bet they never had an ally like Deku. Just goes to show how weak they are. Bakugo said with a smug expression. You don't have to be mean about it. They could still be new to the whole fighting thing. Koda said with a slight frown, but otherwise didn't do anything. That exactly it. They bit off more than they could chew and now are getting saved by Deku. They need to train harder if they are going to fight some more. Bakugo said with a yawn. Senpai, who is that man? The girl with the shield said in awe. That is Zukumashu. He is 6-star servant. Gudako said as she helped the poor girl up and started to help her to get away from the battle to their comrade. Mashu jaw drop in awe. 6-star. That never bad been heard of. Mashu said in shock as they reached Jean, who was breathing heavily, but chuckle as she heard Mashu. I'm not surprised he reached just a high number. He was always the best. Jean said as Gudako placed Mashu down next to Jean and started to heal them. Healing quirk? Uraraka asked. No. I think it magic. Izuku said with a shrug, cleaning his sword. Oh thanks Deku. Uraraka said with a nod. No problem. Izuku said. Uraraka turned back to the screen for a few seconds before shooting her back to side to see no one was next to her. Uraraka? Is everything okay? Ida asked as he noticed his friend was acting strange all of a sudden. And nothing. Just thought I saw something. Uraraka answered with a confused expression. Ida nodded in understanding. This place was weird after all. They both turned their attention back to the screen, both none the wiser of what just happened. Do you know Izuku? Gudako asked. Why, he my papa. Jean answered as she was feeling better now that her wounds were healing. I see. He your. Gudako started, but trailed off as she processed a certain word. That makes sense. I mean it only natural for the daughter to reorganize her. All Might started, but trailed off as he connected the dots as did everyone in the room did. Well, let's say everyone was surprised after all. Papa? Gudako and everyone watching this shouted in surprise. My ear. Mashu said in pain. Why, that person who is fighting our enemy is my papa. Jean said smugly, like a daughter bragging on how awesome her dad is. Oh man, I didn't see that coming. Siro said with a big smile. He have a lovely daughter too. Uraraka said as she took in more of Jean traits and found her very beautiful. Momo wanted to cry for reason and felt a slight chest in her chest at this info. I wonder who the mother is? She blonde, so it can't be anyone in class unless. Jiro said as she turned her eyes on a certain invisible girl in the room. Everyone follow her gaze and stare at the girl. Why is everyone suddenly looking at me like that? Toru asked as she felt all eyes was staring at her. And nothing. Just thinking is all. Momo said with a neutral expression. So Jean may be her daughter then? If so, there are a big chance of romance rivals from her and the others. Wait? Why am I getting work up over this? Momo asked herself mentally. After everyone got over the shocking news, they turned back to the screen. I didn't saw that coming. Wait, why is it quiet now? Mashu said as she looked around and saw that all the enemy was gone. Izuku patted his cloths to get rid of the dust and turned toward them. DMN. Kirishima said with a long whistle. He rushed over and fall to Jean's side. Jean, are you okay? Do you need medicine? Juice? Food? Izuku said as he was acting like a doting father despite being shorter than Jean. He a doting father type. That's so cute. Mina said with a giggle. I wonder if he the type to death glare any boy or girl trying to take his daughter away from him. Midnight said with a He does strike me as one. Pixie Bob said with a nod. I'm okay, Papa. Just need to rest and I will be good again. Jean answered as shakily got up to a sitting post Ion and leaned on Izuku's shoulder. I miss you, Papa. Ever since I saw you die in your fight with All for One. It haven't been the same. I'm so glad to see you're also a heroic spirit as well. And your stars are 6. I don't think there are any other servant with that kind of rank. You're amazing as always, Papa. Jean said happily as she wrapped her arm around Izuku in a hug. Everyone frowned as they heard how this Izuku die. So Izuku kill all for one. That not good. Izawa said, making a point to stare at a pale All Might. He die fighting all for one to the death. I need to make steps to make sure he ready to not only fight him, but to survive him. All Might thought as he was worried for his son's future. Sorry about that. I had no choice. But I'm just happy to be with you again. Izuku said as he hugged her back. Godako and Mashu had to hold back and let the two have their moment. As did many girls in the room, and the guys smile warmly at Izuku. Best dad. They thought happily as they already know that Izuku was a good father based on the interaction here. Later, the 4 of them returned to the base and were greeted by the other servants. Who is this? Mordred asked with a narrow stare at Izuku, who was Ascension now and his face is now revealed for all to see. Oh, this is Izuku. He a new servant. He from the hero class and he a level 6 star servant. Godako said casually, but mentally smirk as the group just stare at Izuku. What? The servants shouted in shock. I'm guessing they never heard of anyone being a rank higher than 5 then. Jiro said with a slight smirk. I guess not. So Izuku must be the top dog now that he there. Tokoyami said with a small smile of pride of his friend. He was overjoyed that a good friend, and no doubt a good hero, was getting the respect he will no doubt deserved in the group if they knew his deeds. Hee, I guess you're all surprised. Izuku said awkwardly. That an understatement, Papa. Jean said with a small giggle. I see. So he the highest rank servant there is. I never thought I will see the day. Mordred said with gulp as she was shaken by Izuku rank. I hope we all can be friends. Izuku said with a small bow. Everyone either sneer and left or bow back while introduce themselves as well. Wow. Bakugo would fit right in with these guys. Siro said with a slight chuckle. Do you want to die, you yellow tap fucker? Bakugo shouted out angrily. Nothing. I said nothing. Siro said as he put his hands up defensively. Does he have a mute button? Koda asked with a frown. Sadly, he does not. Toridoki answered with a sigh. Later, Izuku was talking to the other's servant as Godako was talking to her brother about Izuku. I see. So your noble phantasm is that powerful. I'm kind of jealousy. Izuku said as he was talking to the red archer. I don't know if it is powerful as you think, but it does help in a tight spot. Archer said with a shrug. Hey, my noble phantasm is pretty powerful too. Siyu Chulin said with a smirk. Noble phantasm? Is that like an ultra move or something? Mina asked while blinking. I would assume so. It must be their last trick of their sleeves if they have no choice but use it to win a fight. Tiger said with a frown. Most drain a lot out of them then. Present Mike said with a smile. Sure it is you puppy. Mordred said with a tongue out at the Blue Lancer. Are you trying to start a fight short stake? See you growl out angrily. I don't think you would keep up with me if we go at it. So bring it, puppy. Mordred said with a smirk. Everyone turned to Bakugo and stare at him. Bakugo blink as everyone was staring at him and growl. Fuel. She not mine, you assholes. Bakugo said as he flip everyone off, but he stop as he was glare at by the teachers and the Pussycats group. Yeah. Should we stop them? Izuku asked Archer with a worry expression. Don't worry about it. These two always go at it like this. They're like brother and sister with how much they argue. Archer said with a small chuckle. Izuku blinked as he looked back to the two and smiled as he saw how much fun they were having with their fight. I see. Well, I guess I was worried for nothing. Now, tell me about yourself, Archer. I'm curious about you. Izuku said with a kind smile. Only if you tell me about yourself as well. I'm curious about the only 6-star servant is like. And your class interests me the most as well. I never knew there was a hero class before. Archer said with a chuckle. Sure thing. Let's begin with our actual name, shall we? Izuku started. That was actually kind of sweet. Midnight said with a sigh. Yep. Izuku coming to save his daughter by pure chance of a draw and beat up the bad guys. Now that a father if I ever heard of one. Mina said with a nod. I wonder what else we will see. I'm curious if we can see amazing again. Ida said. We'll have OT wait for the next video to start. So use the restroom now and come back. Aizawa said with a yawn. Everyone nodded and left a room for a few minuets. I feel like something bizarre will happen in this video. Momo said with a sigh as everyone returned to the room. I agree. So far we witnessed some interesting worlds so far, but they all seem strange with Izuku life being so different to the Izuku we have. Mina said with a Yeah. I wonder what will we see next. I'm excited now. Denki said happily. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't too. Ida said with a smile as he wanted to see more of Izuku power in different world. Sure, it's starting again. Jiro said with a sigh as the screen lit up again. Izuku was glaring at the enemy in front of him. Overhaul. Izuku thought with a growl. All Might eyes narrow at Overhaul. He was the one who. All Might thought angrily before brushing that anger off. It was over now. The heroes won that battle and Sir Night Eye was a brilliant man in last hour of honor. Some of the students grimace as they recall this day that happened not that long ago. What could be different in this world? Kirishima thought to himself solemnly. Give up, kid. Your attacks are predicable and I can repair damage faster than you break me. You're far out class. Overhaul said with a narrow stare. I will not lose. I hope to avoid using these new skills I learn, since I haven't mastered them yet, but I see now I can't afford to hold back on you. Izuku said with a narrow stare. New skills? What can this Izuku do that ours can't do? Siro asked with a confused frown. Maybe he learned how to output his quirk differently. Midnight suggest. Unlikely. He said it a new skill, not technique. Present Mike said with a shrug. I guess we will have to wait then. All Might said with a chuckle. Please, nothing you can do can stop me. What make you think these secret skills of yours can do anything? Overhaul asked with a sigh. A lot. I mean, there's so many things I can do in 5 seconds. Izuku said with a smirk. Also, your next lines are, 5 seconds? You're more of an clueless idiot than I thought. 2. Izuku said smugly as he pointed at Overhaul. That won't work. There's no way he can predict his next exact words like that. Ida said with a disbelief expression. Who knows? It is Deku. He can do some amazing things once he get the drive. Uraraka said with a shrug, making Ida thought about it for a moment and then nodding. She was right. 5 seconds? You're more of an clueless idiot than I thought. Overhaul said with a narrow stare before his eyes widen and he gasped in shock. Well DMN. He did know his next lines. Jiro said in shock. Now that manly. Kirishima said in awe. I think that's so cool. Kuda said as he wonder if he can do that too if he practice enough time. It does help Pishik the enemy out pretty well too. Make them lose focus in their shock to create an opening. Momo said with a nod. I see you noticed that too. Good. Midnight said with a smirk. What? How did he? Overhaul thought as Izuku took this as a chance to do what he wanted. Star Platinum. The world. Izuku said as a purple man appeared out of Izuku body like a ghost, turning the world grayish color with a clocking sound and froze time. Everyone's eyes widen in shock at what they just witnessed. Izuku didn't just summon a ghost, but he froze time as well. Holy shit, that broken. Siro said in shock. G-ghost. I had a G-ghost that C can FF freeze T-time. Mina said in fear. She was very afraid of ghosts, but she hid it well till now. Thanks. Goodness, that work. I was worried it wouldn't this time. Izuku said with a sigh. Izuku took this time to look at the purple man, otherwise known as Star Platinum, with a small smile. Star Platinum is one of the most human in appearance of humanoid stands he had seen, resembling a tall, well-built man of similar proportions to All Might's funny enough, if not slightly less muscular. In colored art, its skin is often a hue between purple, blue and green. Its face and body have varying colors. It has long, flowing hair with a darker shade above its eyes and on the front plane of its nose, blurring the distinction between its hair and head. The spaces under its eyes and on its cheeks and chin are a darker color, and divided clearly from the space around its nose and mouth. It wears a cap on its chin, and a metallic headband in 3 pieces, the central piece of which is shaped as a vertical ellipse. A wavy line runs from each arm to the front of its torso, continuing down its legs. It has a minimal range of clothing and armor, including a short, circular scarf, shoulder pads with a spiral design, long gloves with studs on the back, knee and elbow guards, a loincloth, and short boots. Star Platinum reminds him of those guardian spirits his father told him about. Star Platinum? Did Izuku name his ghost after a Mike Oldfield song? Jiro asked in shock. Mike Oldfield? I believe Izuku listened to his work when he's studying and working out sometimes. Ida said as he recall Izuku listening to music when he see him. Awesome. Present Mike said happily as he found someone who love oldies like him. I see. Izuku a man of culture then. I will need to befriend him later with some of my collections. Do you know some of his songs by chance? Jiroeth. Sure. Deku show us his collection he have. Let's see, he have Blink 182, Foo Fighters, Third Eye Blink, Green Day, Smash Mouth, Oasis, The Offspring and 311. Uraraka said as she lists off some songs she can remember. Don't forget Silverchair, Gun N' Roses, Kiss and Red Hot Chili Peppers. There are more, but those are the ones we can remember. Ida added. Jiro Law was drop. I think I found a new best friend. Jiro thought happily. As interesting in knowing his taste of music, we need to keep watching. Aizawa said with a sigh. Sorry, sensei. Ida said with a bow. Izuku shook his head, clearly his thoughts as he needed to focus on the task on hand and turned to Overhaul with fire in his eyes. Star Platinum.do your thing. Izuku said as Star Platinum launch itself at Overhaul start to throw punches as fast as All Might's punches. Aura 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 aura. Star Platinum shouted with each punch. Izuku was careful to hold back Star Platinum power to not kill Overhaul, but he did wanted to make it hurt for what he did to Eri. Thought I would hate to be Overhaul right now. Siro said with a gulp. I agree. Not piss off Izuku if he have that thing with him. Mineta said with a shiver. The pussies. Bakugo said with a growl. If you can beat a time-stopping ghost that look as strong as All Might, then go ahead. But if you can't, shut up. Toridoki said with a deadpan expression. What did you say half and half be yesterday? Bakugo shouted ragingly as he shot up from his seat. Settle down before I make you. Aizawa said with a glare, making the two froze before sitting down and turning back to the screen. No one PSS off Aizawa and get away with it. No one. Wow. Izuku is kind to children to a fault. He would make a perfect father. Would he make a good husband though? Pixie thought to herself. If no one going to take him, she will soon. So far he perfect in her eyes. Enough. We did enough now. Izuku said as he calls Star Platinum back. 2 seconds left. I know what to do. Izuku thought as he turned to the guy trying to take Aizawa away. Not today. Izuku said as he gave a solid kick to the man junk with 2% of foul cowl power. All the guys wince at that and cover their privates at the thought of getting their manhood smash by Izuku's super strength. The girls either chuckle at Izuku's move or facepalm. He turned back to Overhaul and smirk. And time resume like normal. Izuku said with a sigh as time resume. Overhaul blink a bit as he saw that Izuku was suddenly next to one of his pawns and then pain. Lots of pains he couldn't break apart and fix. He felt like he was receiving thousands of punches in seconds and they were knocking a wind out of his lungs. The man who was trying to steal Aizawa's voice broke as he shouted in pain as he held his privates and tip over. Overhaul pass out by the pain and the man did as well as Izuku stood over them with a smirk. And that why you don't mess with the heroes. We have more power and conviction for justice than you can ever dream of. Izuku said while striking a rather clean pose. He had his legs spread a little and had his left hand on his face with the fingers spread to help him see, and his right arm was behind him. JoJo's fans will know who pose this belonged to. So check the reviews if you want to know. What the F dash? Bakugo asked numbly as Uraraka was trying and failing to hold in her laughter. Everyone didn't know whether to laugh or be in awe. It was ridicule-looking, yes, but it was a pretty clean and epic pose. I like it. It got class. Mina said after a while. But it's so bizarre. Zero said. Stopping time and hitting a person is strange. Not to mention Overhaul didn't feel that after seconds of it happen. Now that is bizarre. Jiro said with a shrug. Touché. Izuku stopped posing and made his way to Azua to make sure he was okay, but stopped as he heard movement from behind him. No. Izuku thought as he saw Overhaul had fused himself with one of his men and was growing into a giant monster. Oh my god. Denki said in shock horror. Holy shit. Present Mike shouted in shock as well. Ears. Jiro said as she rubbed her ears in pain. Sorry. Denki said with a sheepish smile. What the hell? Izuku shouted in shock. Die. Overhaul shouted as he made to crush Izuku. One for all 100% smash. Izuku shouted as he punched the giant fist, making Overhaul crash through the ceilings and into the street. Gah! Izuku doubled over in pain as he blew out his left arm this time. Thanks goodness I used the left arm on instinct, that would be bad if I used the right arm. Izuku thought as he followed Overhaul out after he regained his bearings. Well, at least he was smart to use his other arm. If he had used his right arm, he may never seen it function again. Ida said with a sigh. Don't remind us. Momo said sadly. She was saddened to heard about Izuku's arm and was worried he may use it again soon. He may not have a choice to do so and he will be forced to give up on his hero career. And leave her and the others behind. He stopped and stared as Overhaul was growing bigger and was towering over him. You are so compensating for something. Izuku said after a while. Mina and Denki burst out laughing at that. Everyone else facepalm at Izuku. That I don't get it. Kuda said with a head tilt. It probably best you don't. Tiger said with a sigh. Die you brat. Overhaul shouted as he made to crush Izuku again with two fists this time. Star Platinum. Izuku shouted as the purple man popped out again and started to wail on Overhaul fists, stopping it in his tracks. Star Platinum shouted as he managed to stop Overhaul attack. Man, Star Platinum is so strong. Toridoki said in surprise. Fast. He threw so many punches to stop those giants' fists. Momo added. Make you wonder how long he had it. Midnight said. Star Platinum, the world. Izuku shouted as he froze time again as he saw that despite Star Platinum power and stopping the first attack, he couldn't keep doing that for long. 5 seconds before times move again. Now let's see what I can do. Izuku said as he looked around and saw a truck fill with gas. So there are time limits to his power. I can understand that. Momo said. But 5 seconds? That too little for a time-stopping power, isn't it? Turesk. Not quite. While 5 seconds is a small amount, but for Izuku, who can move around faster and more free, 5 seconds may as well be 5 minutes to him. Ida said with a sweat drop at the power this Izuku have. Perfect. Izuku said as he made his way to the truck and had Star Platinum grab it and launch them up to Overhaul. He hit Overhaul with it and started to beat down on it to increase the force of the attack. That should do it. Izuku said as he had 2 more seconds left. Not going to lie, I was hoping he used a steamroller for some reason. Mina said with a pout. I did too for some reason. Mandalay said with a pout also. He jumped down and looked around. He saw the others' heroes fighting and decided to do something about that big guy very quick. Izuku. Gotten closer to the big guy sent Star Platinum out to him. Star Platinum wailed on him hard and came back to Izuku. And done. Izuku said as time resumed once again. The big guy fell over while coughing up some blood, and the truck had a mighty explosion. Holy shit. He did that much in 5 seconds? Kirishima said in shock. I want to do that too. Kuda said with stars in his eyes. The wild pussycat's sweat drop at the thought of Kuda learning the world, it call. Oh, the damage that could be done. Do you? Overhaul shouted in pain anger, and he knew he was behind that somehow. He scanned the area, looking for Izuku, unaware his target was behind him before it was too late. Aurora. Star Platinum shouted as he started to wail on Overhaul again, but this time, with full force of his power. Once Izuku finished, he smirked and pointed to the falling Overhaul. Your last lines will be Yiminyu Deku. Diminyu. To you. Izuku said. Diminyu Deku. Diminyu. Overhaul shouted as he was finally defeated. Wow. Way to add insults to injury Izuku. Mineta said with a sweat drop. But it was deserved. Trust me. Tsuyu said with a happy face. Izuku landed next to Overhaul body and let loose his breath. He was having a hard time breathing since his stand took so much focus and energy to use. He barely managed to make it look simple for this fight. I win. Izuku said as he fell over from exhaustion. I see. So it take Izuku a lot of power to focus it to do what it want. That interesting. Momo said as she was going over Star Platinum powers. Yeah. I wonder if there are others like Star Platinum in that world. That would be so cool. Mina said as she thought of having her own stand, as she calls them. That would be interesting, but I think it best if only Izuku have it. Image of villain with a power to stop time. Midnight said with a shiver. Yeah. That would be for the best. Kirishima agree with a nod. Before anyone can say more, a glow appear in the room and 3 new people arrive. Mirio Togata was holding Eri hand as he looked around. Well, this is weird. Mirio said. Who took me away from my babies? Mei Hatsum demanded angrily. What? Mina said in shock. Everyone was filling the new arrivals in on what had been shown so far. Needless to say, they were shocked. I see. So we are watching Izuku of different worlds. I'd be lying if I say I wasn't interested in this. Mirio said with a smile as he was excited to see how powerful Izuku could be in the others' worlds. I'm looking forward to seeing Izuku being a hero again. Eri said happily. I hope I see many new potential babies I can make with these worlds. Mei said with stars in her eyes. Well, glad to see everyone is okay with this so far. But we also should warn that some of these can be dot graphs. Denki said with a sheepish smile. Yeah. For all we know, we can be seeing Izuku as a villain in one world and the next could him being a mental case in the next. It random really. Mina said. I see. Well, there are many worlds out there, so those are possible. But I'm sure we'll be fine if the person who brought us here even things out a bit. Mei said with a shrug. Now we are all caught up, have a seat, the video is starting. Aizawa said tiredly as he pointed to the screen. The trio nodded and looked around to sit down. Mei sat next to Mina and Mirio sat next to All Might with Eri in between them. Eri looked at All Might and blink. This is the one Izuku look up to, right? I wonder if I can talk to him about Izuku later. Eri thought to herself as she turned back to the screen. The screen showed a adult Izuku flying across destroyed buildings. Izuku was wearing a orange GI with a blue shirt under it. His face had a scar going down his left face. But what most shocking thing is that Izuku was missing his left arm. Everyone cringed at the sight of Izuku missing an arm and still look ready to fight. What happened to Izuku arm? Momo asked with widened eyes at Izuku conditioned. I don't know. But whatever happened, it doesn't seem to be slowing him down in the sightless. Mirio said with narrow eyes. And that outfit, that an martial artist outfit. So it's safe to assume he a fighter in this world as well. Midnight said with her arms crossed. Got to hurry. The people are in danger. Izuku thought to himself as he was flying as fast as he can to the area where screams was coming from. Izuku! A voice rang out. Izuku looked down and saw a orange mohawk-like hair in a black and green outfit. Izuku was curious on who the man knew his name, but the symbol that was on the man's suit gave him his answer. The red ribbon symbol. Red ribbons? Who are they? Present Mike asked. I have no idea. Must be some sort of group that behind the damage going around. All Might said with a growl. That would make sense. And based on how Izuku is acting, they've been doing a good job at it. Toradoki said with a deep frown. Another android? And this one seems stronger than the other two. This is bad. Izuku said as he flew down and landed in front of the android and ready his fighting stance. The android did the same thing, but before anyone could do anything, a bright glow appeared behind Izuku, making Izuku glance at it and saw that someone had arrived. This person turned out to be Mirio as he was already his fighting stance at the android. Hey, it's me. Mirio said in surprise as he saw himself on the screen. I see. I guess these two will be working together here against the big guy. Jiro said with a smirk. I hope they be okay. This isn't a normal enemy. Kuda said with a worry frown. I'm sure the two will be fine. This is Izuku we are talking about. Ida said confidentiality. Izuku raised a brow at Mirio arrival, but others wise shrug and turn around to face the new enemy. I will destroy the son of Toshinori. The android said with a monotone voice. All the pro-heroes turned to blushing All Might. He my son in this world? All Might thought happily as he did view Izuku as a son, but he was also saddened at the fact his son was missing his arm. Miro charged at the android without hesitant. I won't let you 16 hashtag. You'll have to beat me first. Mirio shouted as he threw a punch, but Android 16 caught it with ease and then threw his own punch, but Mirio managed to roll to the side before it could hit, which gave Izuku an opening to landed a knee to 16 hashtag face, making fly to a building. Eat this. Kamehameha. Izuku shouted as he charged some blue energy to his arm and fire with a huge beam at the android. Gallic gunfire. Mirio shouted as he used both his arms to fire a purple beam just as big as Izuku attack. The beams blow up the building as soon it connected. Everyone jaw drop at the sheer power display the two display. That awesome. I want to do that. Mina cheer happily. Everyone agree. That was awesome. But it didn't work. Izuku said with a glare and clenched teeth as he saw 16 hashtag just walk out of the smoked ruins of the house without any damage. Man. He a lot stronger than I remember. Mirio said with a surprised expression as he readied his fighting stance once more. Look like I'll need to all out then. Izuku said as his body started to glow. Ha! Izuku shouted, his eyes turn a brighter green and his hair, that was black at first, turned golden with spikes. I got to get serious too then. Kaioken! Mirio shouted as his body was now covered in a reddish color. They have power-ups too. Man, I would hate to fight these two. Siro said with a gulp. I agree. They do seem to be powerful with their power-ups, but I'm more interested in Izuku hair and eyes. They changed drastically. Momo said as she saw how different was now. I have no idea, but I like it. Present Mike said with a smirk. Of course you do. Aizawa said with a eye roll. The two charge at Android 16 with all their might, throwing punches and kicks at the android, but they were outmatched as the enemy kept parrying their attacks and countering against them. Mirio jumped back and charged up another attack. Go to hell. Finol Flalash. Mirio shouted as he fired his strongest move at the android. Izuku deceiver and appear from behind 16 hashtag and charge up his own move. Time to go to become scrap metal 16 hashtag. Izuku shouted as he fired a full-on ki blast with all he could muster. The android couldn't move in time, was hit by both blasts dead on. Izuku didn't stop to see the blasts took Android 16 out as he charged in with a fierce gaze. He made a kick motion. His kick was caught by an arm and then slammed him to the ground. I will destroy you, son of Toshinori. Android 16 said as he was heavily damaged by those attacks. How strong is that thing? He just took those two blasts dead on it, still moving like nothing happened. Kirishima said in shock as he was pretty sure even All Might in his prim would have been toast by those attacks. This just goes to show you how powerful this guy is, huh? Pixie said with a sweat drop at the thought of fighting that thing on the free. Thankfully we don't have to fight it. Present Mike said with a slight gulp. Mirio launched himself at 16 hashtag and kick him in the face. Let end this. Mirio shouted as he and Android 16 hashtag started to trade blows at speed so fast, their movement looked blur and they were flying around the sky. Mirio was punched in the gut, making cracking noise and spiting blood before getting a double hammer fist to the building they were above, destroying it to pieces by the force Mirio was hit with. Ow! Mirio groaned out as Android 16 ascended down to Mirio slowly. You fought well, young one, but you fail. I will destroy Izuku. 16 hashtag said as he was held his hand to Mirio and was about to kill Mirio. DMN. Denki said in shock as he saw how fast they were fighting. Eri gasped in fear as she saw Mirio was about to die. No! Eri thought as didn't want this to happen, but let out the breath she was holding as she saw a certain someone save the day. No, you don't. Izuku shouted as he appeared in front of Android 16 suddenly and deliver a powerful kick the face, making 16 hashtag fly away from Mirio's spot with Izuku flying after him and beating while they were still in the air. He charged up some ki into his hand and fire it through 16 hashtag chest, making a big hole and killing the android. Izuku landed on the ground and fell to his knees in exhaustion, his hair and eyes turning back to normal. Thus, Izuku and Mirio won. Toru cheered happily as she waved her arms around to show how happy she was. She calmed down. Of course they would win. Their opponent was nothing but a robot. Bakugo said with an eye roll, but he was glad the two fighters won the battle. Mirio managed to get himself off the ground with a groan and pull something out of his belt and press the button on top. His wounds were started to heal slowly. Mei leaned in closer at the new tech. She was thinking on how to copy that healing item. Mirio limped to Izuku's side. Are you okay, Izuku? Miro asked as he helped Izuku to his feet. Yeah. I'll be fine. I just a few moments to catch my breath. Izuku answered with a nod as he was regaining his breathing. That good. I was worried you would be badly hurt if I was unable to keep you safe. Mirio said with sigh. I'm guessing you came from the future with how you knew my name and bright glow. Glad to see the future will have strong proctors. Izuku said happily. So Mirio is from the future, huh? That would make sense on how he show up. Tokoyami said with a Mei eyes had stars in her eyes. Time travel is possible. Mei thought happily. So that means this Izuku and Mirio never met before this fight. Toridoki said in surprise at how well the two work together. Heroes will always be heroes, it seems. Tsuyu said happily. The two just smiled before their eyes widened in horror as they felt a more powerful energy to their left, making them turn quickly and ready their fighting stance. A pale man with blue skin and white hair, having a line on both cheeks that goes from the eyes until his jaw. Initially, he wears red clothing that covers all his body. Above it, he wears white armor with the symbol of the Time Breakers at the center of it and a brown strap around his neck. He also wears cape-like pants covering his legs, leaving only a red pair of shoes to be visible. He also wears gray wristbands. Mira, he here too? Mirio thought with an worry frown. Mirio seemed to know this man. Midnight said with a frown. And based on my reaction, it not good. Mirio said with a matching frown from himself from the screen. This isn't good. Mandalay said as she bit her lips in worry. They got it. These two won't lose so easily. Eri said as she have faith as she knew her two heroes will win. Izuku Yagi, your potential is amazing. I must add it to my own power. Mira said with a chuckle. Come and try it. I assure you it won't be easy. Izuku said with a growl as he fired a ki blast at Mira and Mirio held two of his fingers to his forehead and was gathering energy in the tips. Izuku launched himself at Mira and the two were trading blows after blows, but Izuku wasn't doing much damage to his enemy. You are strong, but I'm far superior than you. Mira said with a bore tone. Izuku responded with a punch to the face while transforming into his Super Saiyan form and making Mira stumble back. What? You shouldn't be able to hurt me, even in your Super Saiyan form. Mira said in shock. You're strong, but you lack any formal training as far I can tell. You assume with your power that no one could beat you, but I'll show you how wrong you are. Izuku shouted as he launched himself at Mira once more, but this time, with more power and drive. Oh, that had to hurt the pride. Denki said with snicker. I hope Izuku isn't trying to make him angrier. That sounds like a bad idea. Mineta said with a worry frown. I think Izuku know he would get more sloppy if he lecture him and making more angry. He knows that some fighters with Big's head will lash out more and make more openings to abuse for victory. Aizawa said with a smirk. Mira, hating that he being lectured by a weakling, decided to fight for real and met Izuku halfway. As the two were about to meet, Izuku smirked as he jumped over Mira as a drill-like beam hit him dead on. Mirio had fired his attack as Izuku was distracting Mira for him. Their teamwork is on point. Mina said in awe. I'm surprised how well the two can work together so far. Ojiro said with a surprised expression. The damage was powerful, but it also made Mira more angry as his energy started to flare. Izuku and Mirio were panting as they were still exhausted from their fight before Mira's arrival, but they weren't going to give in so easily. Mira launched himself before Izuku and Mirio could react. Mira punched them in their gut, sending them flying. Mira followed after them, grabbed their ankles and spun them around in a crazy speed and threw them to the ground, making craters by the sheer force of Mira power. Die! Mira shouted, as he fired a strong ki blast at the two. No! Everyone shouted in fear for the two in lives. Eri looked ready to burst into tears at the sight before her. Izuku and Mirio braced themselves for impact, but it never came. Before the blast could hit the two down fighters, a person with golden hair appeared out of nowhere with a sword and sliced the blast into two, making the blast split away from its targets and harmlessly flew past them. Izuku and Mirio look at the new arrival in surprise before Mirio's eyes widen in shock as Izuku was standing there with a confused frown. Cause who was standing there was someone they both knew well. A 20-year-old Eri was standing in front of them with her hair glowing like Izuku's Super Saiyan form, and she was rather tall. Standing around 6 foot, she wears a World War-esque black trench coat with a fur-lined collar and an olive-green sweater underneath, olive-green pants with lighter-colored bandages around her shins and brown-colored laced boots. Everyone blinked at an adult Eri was standing in front of Mirio and Izuku with a look of a fighter. Eri looked on in awe at her other self, saving Izuku and Mirio from danger for once. That could be me one day. Eri thought happily. Mirio smiled as he patted Eri's head happily. Mira growled at her. Eri, that I should have known you'll show up to stop me. Mira said as he glared at lady in front of her. I won't let you hurt Izuku or Mirio. So if you don't want to die here, I suggest you run. Eri said coldly as she glared at the man in front of her. Eri? That Eri? Izuku said in shock. Why, that Eri. She my boss of sorts. She isn't supposed to be here though. This break the rules of time travel. Mirio said with a gulp as he got back on his feet. I see. So this version of Eri is from the future and in charge of time travel's police of sort. Momo said in surprise. I guess she grew up well if she can be so successful at a young age. All Might said as he gave Eri a soft smile, making her blush in embarrassment. I was not ready for today. Like at all. Izuku thought as he got up from the ground as well and got into his fighting stance. We'll discuss that later. But for now, let's put an end to Mira. Eri said as she flared her ki higher. Izuku and Mirio nodded in agreement and flared their keys as well. Izuku launched himself with Eri. Mirio flew up. Let's see him handle this. Mirio said as he put his hands to the sky and started to focus on gathering energy. Everyone rose a brow at Mirio doing something away from the fight. But shrug as they will find out later. Back to Eri and Izuku, we can see the two are pressuring Mira with their overwhelming teamwork. Mira made to blast Eri, but Izuku kicked his arm up, making the blast fly harmlessly over her head. Eri took this change to attack. She put 2 arms out, unleash a powerful burst of ki blast. Evil explosion. Eri shouted out the attack as Mira went flying. Izuku fire multiply ki blast after Mira, each hitting and doing some damage. Wow. The teamwork is amazing. Midnight said in awe. I haven't seen teamwork like that in a while outside of the Wild Pussycats group. Aizawa with a small proud smile at his student growth. I agree. Not many heroes have teamwork like this. This is built trust of years of working together. Tiger said with a smirk. You starting to annoy me. Mira shouted as he fired a dark ki blast as he recovered from the attacks and hit Eri, sending her stumbling to the ground. Izuku wasted no time and launched himself at Mira with his full power. Mira saw this and decided to meet him halfway. The two charged at each other and threw their axe before meeting in the middle. The two made a shockwave that made everything around fly away at the pressure of the power. The two were trading blows after blows, making shockwaves after shockwaves appear. The UA's students blink in shock. They haven't seen something like this since they witnessed All Might fight that Nomu. Such power! The pro heroes thought in awe. Izuku lose the standstill as he kicked in the stomach, sending flying through some buildings by the sheer force of the attack. Mira was about to follow after him, but then Eri appear in front of him and give him an uppercut to the jaw, sent him upwards to sky toward Mirio. Mirio grinned as his strongest attack was ready. Eat this! Ultimate Genkidama! Mirio shouted. He threw his hands downwards with the giant blue sphere following his hand's movement. Mira managed to stop his movement in time to see the giant ball was about to hit him. Everyone jaw drop at the big ball of energy Mirio built while Izuku and Eri fought. Holy sheet! Just holy sheet! Toradoki said in surprise. Well, now we see why he gathering energy. That look powerful enough to destroy the whole planet. Jiro said with a sweat drop. Essence of heaven and earth, huh? What a fitting name for such an attack. Tomoko said with a small smile as she knew what the name means. It was fitting for a hero. No. I won't lose to a bunch of weaklings. Mira shouted angrily as he fired his strongest ki blast at the Genkidama. Heya! Mira shouted as he put everything he had to his attack, pushing the Genkidama away. But before he could overpower it, he was attacked from his back by 3 powerful ki blasts. Arg! Mira shouted in pain as he knew who's just shot him in the back, making him lose focus and letting the Genkidama hit him. Mira shouted as he was in great pain and the light blinded the 3 fighters. After the shine of the attack ended, the trio saw Mira fell to the ground and landed with a loud thud. Demon, you know he dead. Shoji said with a whistle. Dude. Too soon, man. Denki said with a sigh. The trio flew down and landed in front of the heavily wounded Mira as he struggled to get up from the ground. It over, Mira. We won. Eri said coldly as he pulled out her sword. No. Even if there 3 of you, how could I've lost? I'm supposed to be the strongest. Mira growled out angrily. You lost because you thought you were the strongest. You have no training. No actual experience against someone powerful. Izuku said wisely, making Mira pause. No experience? No training? I never thought of that. I always managed to overpower anyone who stood in my way. But I forgot to work them out. My power need practice. How could I have been so foolish? Mira thought angrily as he managed to get to his feet. All the pros heroes nodded in agreement. It doesn't matter how powerful your quirk or power, if you don't train them and gain experiences in battle, you'll always lose. They learned the hard way. The younger heroes thought about it for a moment and took it to heart as they seen firsthand of what happened when you don't train your quirk. I see. Well then. It looked like I got a lot to think about. I should thanks you, Izuku. You are as wise and powerful as I heard. Till next time. Mira said as he suddenly flew away in high speed. Eri was about to follow after him, but she was stopped by Izuku. Let him go. We won and we shouldn't waste any more energy than we already did. Izuku said to her. Eri looked like she wanted to say something, but decided against it. Okay, Izuku. I'll let him go this time. Eri said as she powered down to her normal white hair self as Izuku powered down to his normal black and green hair. It seemed Izuku's still kind even in a different world. Eri said happily. Yeah. I'm just happy that the fighting is over and they can rest. Momo said with a sigh as she was worried how long they were going to fight for. Man. You grew, Eri. If I didn't know any better, you aged 7 years. Izuku said as he looked Eri up and down. Yeah. It's been a few years for me. Eri said sheepishly. I see. Well, I'm happy to see you become a young woman. I'm proud of you. Izuku said happily as he patted Eri's head. I'm a grown woman now. You can't be petting me now, Eri said with a pout. Mirio smiled as he saw Eri's slight smile on her face, showing she liked being petted. She likes it. Mirio thought with a slight chuckle as he wanted to give the two their moment before heading back to the base. Ah, this is so cute. Toru squealed happily at how cute the two are with each other. I see you like being petted, Eri. Mirio teased lightly as he petted Eri's head, making her pout slightly. It's good to see that even as an adult, Izuku will never lose his heart. Toridoki said happily. Anyway, while I love to stay and chat, but I need to do something now, Izuku said as he turned around to the city that was still under attack. That right? Izuku goes to that town and… Eri thought with a frown before closing her eyes tight before talking. Izuku, I'll go with you. This time, I won't hold you back. Eri started, but she was cut off by a voice in her head. This time? Did something happen last time she fought with Izuku? Denki asked with a frown. Must have to do something. Why Izuku only have one arm? Jiro said softly as she connect the dots. Oh. Denki said as he caught on. But why is Eri so desperate about this? What will happen if Izuku goes? Shoji asked with a frown. The pro-heroes understand what Eri means and frown sadly. Izuku will die if he goes into that town and fight alone. Eri, no. You can't go. You know you're not allowed to change timelines like this. The voice shouted. I know. But if I don't go, Izuku will. Izuku will. Eri thought back to the voice with a frown. Is there something wrong, Eri? Is there something you want to tell me? Izuku asked with a concerned expression. You have to stop her, Mirio. The voice begged Mirio, who was on the fence of what to do. If you're here all grown, that means May managed to build her time machine and the future is save right. Izuku said softly. So that means this battle have a purpose. That enough for me. Izuku said with a soft smile as Eri had tears in her eyes now. Everyone's eyes widened as they all connected to dots on why Eri is so sad about leaving Izuku alone. Dude. He can't. Denki said softly. He is a hero. He will fight to death if means saving one life. And the fact that Eri is from the future. Momo added as she had tears in her eyes as she saw that Izuku was connected the dots and wasn't scared to die. That just not fair. Uraraka said with a frown. It never is. Toridoki said with a growl at the thought of someone so close to his heart dying without doing something about it. May couldn't be happy to know she made something so amazing while a close friend was about to die. Now Izuku. You can't. Eri begged. Eri, it seems you have made a good friend. Izuku said as he pointed to Mirio, who was worried about Eri. You can't just leave a good friend behind now, can't you? Izuku said as he gave Eri one last head pat before turning his back and going Super Saiyan and flew up to the sky. No, wait. Eri called out with her hands stretched out as if trying to stop Izuku from going, but Mirio stepped in front of her and grimly shook his head to her. Izuku gave Eri one last look before flying off. Eri and Mirio watched him fly off as Eri had tears in her eyes. As did Eri, who was watching the scene play out. Mirio could only hug her close as she cried into his arms at the discovering her other's self couldn't save someone so dear to her as he recalls her night-eye death and how he'd be torn apart if he couldn't save Izuku in his world too. One ally's death is bad enough. Could pull his hat down to his eyes to hide his tears as he felt the familiar sting of losing someone close to him. It like losing his parents all over again. But he knew deep down, Izuku wouldn't want him to hold that in again and look forward to the future. Fast forward in time. Mirio was in a large room filled with scrolls with two people. I didn't think Eri would have been so affected by this. The young lady who like a kid said in sadness. Seriously? Are they really that dumb? Denki asked angrily as he knew how hard it would on someone if they went through what Eri on the screen did. Are you kidding me? She just met her mentor who was basically the father she never had and just saw him fly off to a battle he going to die in. How could you not think this was going to affect her? Mirio said angrily. Calm down, Mirio. You're getting emotional. The elder man said. No. Every time we talk, You gods always find a way to hurt mortals or dodge what really matters. First, it was tricking Eri into believe she broken a rule that no one told us about and making her think she made a greater sin than she can never atten for giggles. Then Elder Kai over here literary peaks on girls and won't do anything unless it promise him his live or cute girls. I get you guys don't know how it like for people who haven't grew up like you too, but you never really took time out to understand us. Mirio exploded at them, making them step back in shock. Just look. I'm sorry for getting angry, but at the rate we are all going to lose our homes if you two don't take better care of those you're supposed to defend and watch over. Shin can only do so much alone and you two aren't helping. I'm going to go check on Eri and when I get back, I'll do the next scroll, okay? Mirio said as he turned and left without another word. Geez. He had to give it us straight out, huh? Elder Kai said with a sigh. But he right though. We always assume what we do is normal and above others without ever thinking about it. We do need to grow closer with everyone we are helping to better our burdens. Kranoa, Supreme Kai of Time real name, said with a tired sigh as she looked at the scroll that was playing Izuku death. How many mortals' deaths had we caused because of our misdeeds? She thought to herself as she turned away from the scroll and started to walk away. No spoke as the video ended. They have no idea what to say. It seemed like there was gods in that world who cause harm to mortals without realizing it and Izuku death hurt them. I suggest everyone go clear their head. This was a lot heavier than we thought it will be. Tezawa said as he glanced at his students' somberly faces. No one argued with him and left. All Might was the only who stay as he was having a hard time swallowing this. No matter the world or time. You will always fight for what right. I couldn't be more proud of you, my son. You did the world right for sticking to your values even though you knew your death was right in front of you. All Might thought as he gave a prayer to Izuku Yagi for peace in the afterlife. For his son from another world. After everyone came back and cleared their head of what they seen, they began to talk a bit as the screen was loading up a new world. So what do you guys think we're going to see next? Uraraka asked. I hope it's something cool. I would love to see Izuku as an badass again. Denki said as he wondered what type of world they were going to see next. Maybe we'll see him as a king. Momo suggested with a smile. Better yet, a knight. Mina said as she was imaging Izuku as a knight saving a princess and serving his kingdom. I want to see what happened if Izuku was a girl. Toridoki said honestly. Oh right, Yurgihe. Momo started, but held her throat in pain as Toridoki chopped her neck. Let not spread that around. Toridoki said calmly as everyone's sweat dropped at the two. Oh look, it's starting again. Bakugo said as he didn't care about Toridoki and Momo at the moment. Everyone turned to the screen and were excited of what they were going to see this time. Mina was seen reading a newspaper with a smile. Man, that Spider-Man guy is so cool. Mina said happily as she read up on Spider-Man latest heroic. I don't know about that. Isn't he a vigilante? Jiro asked with a rose brow. Izuku is called Spider-Man in this world? Uraraka said in surprise. And he a vigilante? Ida said in horror. Must be a good one if Mina seemed to be a fan of Spider-Man. Saya said calmly as she was a little worried for this version of Izuku. Vigilante is hated more than villains surprisingly. Let's see what type of hero he is in this world. All Might said with a sigh. He can already feel the headache he going to get. Eri and Kudo were excited to see Izuku in action as a hero again. Yes he is. But as of late, their people want this Spider-Man fellow to be a full-fledged hero. He been saving civilians from certain death or worst from small-time criminals that the pros hero are ignoring and have been helping the police with recuse mission. Momo said as she was reading her book. Isn't there a debate going on about whether Spider-Man is criminal or a hero? Mina asked with a rose brow. Yes. Our principal Nizu is declaring Spider-Man as a hero while Endeavor is declaring Spider-Man a criminal and should be put down. Toru said as she was reading the news on her phone. Put down? As in kill? Jiro asked in surprise. Man, I never heard of a vigilante getting this much attention before. Izuku Spider-Man persona must be one hell of a man to warrant it. Midnight said with a whistle. I guess so. But there is point. He is a criminal in the eyes of the laws, but he a hero to the eye of the people. Mandalay said with a sigh. And put down? No matter the world, Endeavor is brutal. Present Mike groaned as he didn't like how unheroic that sounded coming out of his mouth. It left a very bad taste in his mouth. Yeah. Like fire could kill Deku. That the funniest thing I heard all day. Bakugo said with an evil smirk. He is hard to kill. Torodoki agree with a nod. Wow. Those two agree on something. Jiro said in awe. Yes. It seems Endeavor is holding Spider-Man for 10's lives that was killed when the two met. But there is a report saying that Endeavor killed them while trying to fight Spider-Man, despite him trying to save people from a burning building. Mina said as she recalled the news of that day. I think those fight it out before and Spider-Man won, but that's just a rumor. Said, with a shrug. So in others' words, he looking to pin the crime on Spider-Man and take credit for it. And safe face to losing to an untrained hero who is a vigilante. Jiro said with a sigh. Wow. That petty as F-. Denki said with a frown. And amazing. Izuku fought and beat Endeavor if the rumors are true. That got to speak volumes of his skills. Midnight said in awe as she was giddy of the thought of someone beating that flame bear. I must admit, I'm impressed if he did just to think. All Might admitted, I would hate to PSS off Spider-Man Izuku. Zero said with a sheepish smile. I think it manly as hell he fought Endeavor. Kirishima said with a smile. It seems so, but I think Spider-Man should be legally declared as a hero. He going to keep doing this anyway, so may as well make it easier and make him an ally. Momo said as she closed her book. I agree. It would be so cool to have someone like Spider-Man on our side. Mina said as she fist-pumped the air. Everyone agree. It would be good and cool to have someone like Spider-Man Izuku on the hero side. Definitely if he'd been doing so many good. Before any more could be said, Uraraka ran into the dorm room while heavily breathing. Quick, turn the news. Spider-Man is fighting a villain that been on the run from the pro-heroes on a train and it live. Uraraka said as she was trying to catch her breath. The girls turned quickly to the TV and started it up and it shows Spider-Man, in his red and blue Spider-Them costume fighting a villain with 6 mechanic arms. Oh my! Momo said as she saw how brutal the fight was so far. I hope Spider-Man wins. Mina said as she was clenching her fist. Go Izuku! Kuda and Eri cheer happily. I get a feeling once Izuku goes pro and get his brand of merch, Kuda would want a lot of them. Mandalay said with a giggle. I think Eri the same way. Mirio said with a chuckle of his own. Class 1A were cheering for Izuku as well and the teachers were excited to see how well their student fare against a villain. With Spider-Man. Spider-Man threw a punch and then knee his opponent in the stomach, making him stumble back in pain. Give up. You can't win. Spider-Man said as he was whining the fight so far. Spider-Man jumped at Doc Ock, the man he was fighting, but he was caught midair as Doc Ock sent his mechanical arms and started to slam him the roof of the train. Everyone winced at the dent Izuku was making on the train as he was being slammed on it repeatedly. Come on. Hustle out there. Bakugo shouted angrily. Ow. Spider-Man said before he was picked up again and then slammed to the side of the train a few times, breaking glass and scaring the people inside. Spider-Man managed to caught his footing and stopping him from slamming to side of the train again. Stay down. Doc Ock growled as he started to push Spider-Man down the side of the train so Spider-Man will be thrown off the train. But Spider-Man held strong and pushed back. But then he was hit by a sign, which broke on. Then another sign hit him. Then another and another. And another. How many signs does this track needs? Spider-Man shouted as he was pretty sure no train tracks need this many signs so close to each other. Everyone kept wincing with every sign that hit Izuku and were confused on why there was so many signs on the track. Of course everyone burst out laughing at Izuku outburst and even Aizawa let out a chuckle. Spider-Man then felt his senses tingle and looked to the left. Doc Ock saw the train too and smirk. He held Spider-Man a while longer before letting go at the last second and letting the train hit Spider-Man square on. Oh wow, that got to hurt. Siro said with a cringe. He defiantly out of the fight. Momo said with a wince as not many can get hit by a speeding train and walk away. Poor Deku. I was hoping he would win. Uraraka said with a slight sniffle. If you think that all it took to take out the DM in Nerd, then you're all idiots. Bakugo said with an eye roll, making everyone rise an eyebrow before they saw something that made their jaw drop in shock. That should take care of that, Nujin. Doc Ock thought before his eyes widen in shock. Spider-Man just jumped out of the train front like nothing happened and was swinging back to Doc Ock with his webs. Like a boss. Kirishima cheered happily as Izuku was still in the game. My ears. Jiro said as she held her ears in pain. Sorry. Kirishima apologized with a bow. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Doc Ock growled out as he sent his mechanical arms into the train and grabbed 2 civilians. He pulled them out of the train and held them up for Spider-Man to see, while they were screaming for good measure. The 2 he was holding looked to be 2 students from Class B. Oh no. They aren't allowed to use their quirks yet, so they're sitting ducks. Momo cried out in worry. One bad thing about the law, you can't use your quirks unless you want to be labeled as a villain. How stupid. Tokoyami said with a sigh. Don't worry. Deku will save them. Uraraka said as she wasn't worried about them as Izuku was there. He threw them off the train, making Spider-Man go after them. He caught the girl who looked like Kendo. Hang on to me. Spider-Man said as he put Kendo on his back and swung for the other student. He barely caught her before she hit the ground and swung away. That was a close one. Spider-Man said as he was using his only open arm to swing with his webs as his other arm was carry the one known as Phony. Everyone let out the breath they were holding as Izuku managed to save both girls before anything bad could happen. Thanks goodness Izuku was there. Momo said happily. I'm going to land very quick and RE you off to the ground, but I need to chase after that madman. Spider-Man said as he was still swinging. Oh okay. Thank you for the save, Spider-Man. Kendo said as she was still surprised by being saved by a criminal, but she won't be too picky about her savior. Here we go. Spider-Man said as he jumped off his web and straight to the ground, scaring the 2 girls as they were hugging Spider-Man for dear life. But Spider-Man landed on the ground without trouble and stood up straight. And we are at your destination. Thank you for riding with Spidey Train. We hope you enjoy your ride. Spider-Man joked as the girls got off Spider-Man with a clumsy and dizzy walk. Hey, it looked like Izuku have a sense of humor in this world. Denki said in surprise. He strike me as a kind of kid who can't joke well. Tiger said with a he is. But I guess he gained confident as Spider-Man. Ida said with a nod. I can see. He saved 2 girls from getting hurt while swinging around and then landing without trouble. Present Mike said with a grin. Remind me of a certain hero. Midnight said as she wiggled her brow to All Might, who just smiled sheepishly in embarrassment. Well, I'll love to stay and chat, but I got a madman to chase. So see ya. Spider-Man said as he jumped and swung his webs out again and went after the train. The 2 girls stare as Spider-Man left. He a hero. Phony said after a while. I can't help but agree with you. Look like the new #1 hero is wrong. Kendo said with a sigh. Ooh, do I smell more girls for Izuku harem? Siro joked as some of the girls blush at the thought. I hope not. I want a girlfriend too, Diamenet. Mineta said with a growl, making everyone rolls their eyes. Back with Spider-Man. Spider-Man landed in front of Doc Ock, but before he could do something, Doc Ock tossed him what seemed to be a lever. I would love to stay and fight, but you have a train to catch. Doc Ock said smugly before jumping off the train as Spider-Man finally realized the train was speeding up. He quickly looked to the driver's seat of the train before it exoppelspawned him, burning his mask as Spider-Man quickly removed it to avoid getting burned. His green and black was rustling against the speed of the train and his eyes widened as he saw the train was speeding to the dead end of the tracks. Oh no! His face is in view for the world. He need to keep his face hidden if he want to keep going as Spider-Man. Ida said in worry for his friend. Sure he'll be fine. Deku been lucky so far, right? Uraraka said as she tried to calm her friend down, but she was worried as well. Just calm down you two, so as long now one get a look at his face after the whole incident, he'll be fine. Momo said as she calmed the two down. Yeah. With everything going on, I doubt anyone will have enough time to memorize Izuku's face. Tokoyami said with a sigh. Oh no! Izuku shouted in fright as he made his way to the front of the train. Hey, it's Spider-Man! One of the people in the train shouted as they saw Izuku's suit. Tell everyone to hang on. Izuku shouted to the one in front and looked down. He gulped as he jumped down and had his right leg out and pushed himself accent the train in hopping to slow it down like that, but he had to stop as he felt his leg was about to snap from the pressure. Ah! Izuku mim out in pain as he rubbed his leg. Yeah. I figure it wouldn't work. Toradoki said with a sigh. But points for trying though. Denki said. What else can he do? Kuda asked with a frown. Got any more bright ideas? The guy asked sarcastically. Yeah. Of course I do. Izuku said with a nervous smile. I got nothing. Izuku shouted in his head as he turned back to see he was closing on to the end. That sound about right. Everyone said with a worried chuckle as they hope Izuku can think of something soon. Izuku decided to shot his webs out of the side of the train and try to hold it. It worked slightly as the train was slowing down a bit, but the webs snap under the pressure of the train and snap, almost making Izuku fall forward, but luckily Izuku managed to catch himself with his foot still on the train. I got something. But will I be strong enough for it? Izuku whispered to himself as he knew what he got to do. Those who knew what Izuku was planning had their eyes widen in shock as they realized what Izuku was going to do. Is he insane? He can't handle that much pressure and force. Ida shouted angrily. What wrong? Uraraka asked in surprise. Izuku is planning to use his webs as a rope of sort to slow down the train, but he will need to be in the certain of the webs to hold it together. Momo answered with a shiver. And that bad why? Denki asked. It means Izuku will have to hold a speeding train and pull on his webs to make it stop with his strut alone. Jiro said with a cringe. And if he can't hold out, his arms will be rip off his torso in the process. All Might said with a shiver. Oh! Denki said in horror. Everyone looked on in horror as Izuku was getting ready to do the unthinkable. Izuku looked to the end that was approaching and steel himself for what he was about to do. Plus Ultra. Izuku whispered to himself as he started to shot webs after webs after webs on both sides of the train and held on as tightly as he could. Izuku was pulled back to the train and his arm felt as if it was about to torn off his body. He screamed at the top of his lung as he held on tightly and tried to ignore the pain that was coursing through his body as his skin was ripping apart slightly, showing blood and muscle as his suit was being torn as well. Everyone winced as they see the blood coming out of Izuku's arms. Some even turned green as they didn't want to see something so damaging on Izuku again. Come on Izuku. You can do it. Eri prayed as she saw the amount of pain Izuku was in. You can do it. You won against stack odds before, don't start losing now. Kuda said as he hoping Izuku will win. It working. The train is slowing down. One of the people on the train shouted as everyone could see the train was slowing down thankfully. Everyone turned back to see Izuku was still holding on and pushing himself beyond his limits to save everyone. Izuku did his best brace himself for the end, but as soon as they crash, he was hit by a metal stop sigh and it broke his chest a bit. Izuku coughed up a bit of blood, but held strong as the train was close to falling over and used whatever strength he could muster up and stop the train fully before it could. DMN. Izuku isn't about to quit. Siro said as he cringed at the blood that came out of Izuku's mouth. He too DMN's stubborn to give up. Bakugo said as he had his arms crossed, but he was shaking as well. Come on Izuku. You can do it. All Might whisper. Everyone held their breath as they saw it slowly stopping. Once it did and people were safe, Izuku let go of the web, smiled slightly in pride as his eyes were dropping. He did. The kids cheers happily as everyone let out a breath they were holding. Oh gee, thank God. I was about to cry for a moment. Uraraka said as she wiped some tears of fright. He about to fall. Mina cried out in fear as she saw Izuku was leaning forward to fall of the train from exhaustion. He'll die from that drop. Midnight cried out. Ida. Izuku whispered as he was started to fall forward to what would be his death as his consciousness was gone, but he was caught by two people who were in front of the broken window and was held up. Then another hand came and started to pull him in, so did another and another. Everyone who could hold Izuku pulled himself safely to the train and started to carry him to the other side of the train and gently lay him down on the ground. Everyone's eyes widen in shock as they never seen anything like this. They're caring for Izuku despite being a vigilante. Amazing! All Might said with a smile. Vigilante were hated by everyone. They were treated worse than villains and were usually looked down on as rats of the world despite the good they do. But to see everyone care for a vigilante like Izuku, that means Izuku had proven to be a hero in their eyes and deserve respect. My stars. He just a boy. A man said in surprise as he saw Izuku's face. He is old as my son. A young woman said in surprise as well that the infamous Spider-Man that many hate and love was nothing but a young boy doing the job of a pro hero. Is he alive? Asked one of the crowd. Izuku started to wake up slowly as he heard all the voices. Once Izuku vision returned, he saw all the worry faces and then the relief they all held as he was awake now. Izuku blinked a bit to get vision clear up and his eyes widen in realization he didn't have his mask on. I forgot he lose his mask. Mina said with a worry frown. I don't think we need to worry about that. All Might said with a gentle smile. But his face had been seen by everyone. Mina asked with a grimace. Just keep watching and you'll see what I mean. All Might said happily. Mina blinked a little as she was sure what All Might meant, but decided to follow along for now. They saw his face. They know how looks like now and can report to the police about him. But before Izuku can have a panic attack, an old man stop him. It okay? The old man said gently as two kids walk up to Izuku. We found this. One of the kids said softly as he held out a mask. Izuku blinked in surprise as he was confused on why they were being kind to him. He was a vigilante. They were hated more than the villains. So, why were they being so kind to him? We won't tell anyone. One of the kids said as if reading Izuku's mind. Wow. Just wow. Ida said in awe as Uraraka had tears in her eyes. He won their recolonizers. He won them over despite being a vigilante. Uraraka said as she wiped some tears. Man. This getting tearing eyes here. Jiro said as she wiped a bit of tears off her eyes. Never in history I seen something like this. This kid is amazing after all. Present Mike said with a smirk. Izuku blinked in surprise and looked around and saw that everyone agreed with the kid. They're willing to let me go. Izuku thought in awe. Izuku smiled softly and nodded. Thank you. Izuku managed out as he reached for the mask and took it out of the kid hand. He placed it over his head and looked back to a smiling crowd. His mask, while burnt, had become more than just a mask. It became a symbol of a new hero. And thus, a new legend was born in front of everyone's eyes. Momo said happily as she felt proud of Izuku's achievement. I wonder what the news will saw about this. Denki said with a smirk. I like to see them try to badmouth Spider-Man now. Mirio said with a smirk of his own. Izuku got up shakily to his feet and started to make his way out of the train. But he didn't got far as the back of the train was forced open and Endeavor walk in with his fire bear blazing in anger. And he ruined the moment. Toridoki said with a sigh. What a deech. Bakugo said with a slight growl. Spider-Man. You are under arrest for attempted genocide and property damage of the city. Endeavor shouted as he was about to walk to Izuku and drag him out of the train forcefully, but he was stopped by a kid. Leave him alone. He did nothing but save people. A kid shouted at him. Yeah. He didn't do anything wrong. Without him, we all would have died. A man shouted. He did your job before you could even do anything, you failure of a hero. Another man shouted. Oh, wicked burns everywhere. Siro said smugly as he was enjoying the people defend Izuku and roasting Endeavor. I'm loving this so much right now. Toridoki said with a smirk. It's so heartwarming that they are defending Izuku. Midnight said as smile at the crowd. Izuku felt his heart tug as the people were rising up to defend him. Hey kid, get out of here before Firebeard decided to throw a tantrum. And don't worry about us, he wouldn't hurt us unless he wants to lose his hero licenses. A old woman said softly. Izuku nodded and mumbled a thank you, and looked for an exit and saw it. Don't you dare dash, Endeavor shouted out before Izuku jumped out of the train window and web sling out of the train area before Endeavor could follow. Izuku got away pretty quickly, and before any more pro-heroes can arrive, he left for home. Spider-Man! Endeavor voice echoed through the city. Everyone was laughing at Endeavor misfortune. It was priceless. A week later, Izuku was walking around the town as he stopped and looked at the latest newspaper. Spider-Man, a hero for the people, it read. Izuku felt his eyes tear up a little as he read it. Always a softies, huh? Toru said with a giggle. I swear his crying is his second quirk sometimes. Jiro said with a sigh, but everyone can see the smile. I'm almost there. I'm almost there of being a hero. Izuku thought happily as he kept walking, unaware of the man behind him smiling warmly to Izuku. Keep going, Spider-Man. The world needs someone like you now more than ever. The man said happily as he walked off with his walking cane and adjusting his red sunglasses. Everyone was smiling. That was amazing. There's no other way to put it. All Might said as he was proud of Izuku's heroic nature in that world. No matter which world, so as long as Izuku a hero, he will never fail. Ida said with a soft smile. Everyone agree with that statement. I'm feeling peckish now that we finish watching this. Let's get something to eat. Momo suggested. Everyone agreed and started to make their way out of the room, chatting about what they watch and what was the best part. Eri and Kudo were debating whether on which colors suit Izuku best. Green or red. Everyone came back to the room, laughing and talking about Izuku as Spider-Man. I wonder what we are going to see now? Denki wondered as everyone sat down on the chair. I don't know, I just hope it not depressing. Jiro said with a sigh. I guess we'll know once we start. All Might said as they all sat down finally and waited for the screen to start. The screen started up suddenly and everyone jumped as they didn't expect it to start so suddenly. The screen showed two people fighting. Wow. Already at it, huh? Midnight said with a sigh. One was in a purple suit, white skin, black gloves and green vest. He have a scar that run across his cheek to his lips that resemble a smile. The other was an adult Ida in his hero uniform, but without his helmet and blood on his forehead. Everyone's eyes widened in shock as they knew who was the clown person was. Wait, why is Izuku and Ida fighting like animals? Momo asked in shock horror. I don't know. But I think in this world, Izuku is a... Toradoki started, but he couldn't bring himself to say it. Izuku a villain in this world. And I'm his enemy. Ida said dumbly, making everyone gape in shock. Come on, Ida. Is that all you got? Kaken hit harder than you before I hung him. The clown said with a chilling grin. Just shut up, Joker. Ida growled out as he threw another punch and hitting Joker in the face and then knee him in the stomach. Joker stumbled back before he grinned and coughed up some blood. Ha! Now that more like it. Hit me. Joker said with a cackle as he threw another punch to Ida and hitting him in between the eyes and head-butting him. Everyone cringed. The fact Izuku just casually told Ida he killed Bakugo and the anger Ida had in his voice and eyes. No way, dude. Izuku would never do that. Siro said angrily. I wish I can agree, but Izuku in this world is a villain. He would. Present Mike said grimly. I hate seeing this version of Izuku. Kuda said with a grimace as Eri nodded in agreement. This hurt their image of the sweet and kind boy they look up to. Uraraka just held back her tears as she see her two best friends were fighting like they were trying to kill each other. It hurt her heart as she watched this. Bakugo held back a shiver as he knew if Izuku did turn into a villain in his world, he would die. He hated admitting to it even to himself, but one of the reasons he keep putting Deku down is because he was scared of him. And the name Joker isn't something to laugh about too. Mina whispered to herself as the name struck a core of horror in her. Ida stumbled before he growled out in frustration and tackled Joker. He keep running through walls after walls in the building they were fighting in and only stopping when the Joker pull out a knife and stab Ida in the shoulders, making him cried out in pain as they stop in a room filled with old signs that look to be for carnival's rides. "Heh, is that all you got, Metal Man?" Joker said with a grin as he kicked Ida while he was on the ground. Ida was on his back, breathing heavily as he waited for the Joker to be in front of him. Once Joker got in front of his foot, he actives his quirk, which had his leg fly up and kick him in the chin, knocking the Joker fall to his back. Boom. Headshot. Kirishima said as he tried to lighten the air a bit. It worked slightly as some did chuckle. But it was barely. It seemed Ida learned to fight with more tact than straightforward kicks. Mina added, "That a good thing. If he just stick to his usual style, then he wouldn't last long without adapting his style." Aizawa said with a bore tone, but he was feeling dread inside his heart as he saw one of his students like this. It hurt to see his students like this. All Might couldn't bring himself to say anything as he watched this in horror. Ida didn't waste time as he got back to his feet and got on top of the Joker. He started to beat on the Joker with no mercy or held back. He threw every punch with the intent of killing the Joker. But the Joker reached his hands out for anything he could grab and found a bottle. He picked up the bottle and smashed it on Ida's head, making him fall to the side in pain and shock. Everyone winced with everyone hit. Ida landed on Izuku's face, and even some of the girls had tears in their eyes as they saw two best friends fight without mercy. "This is too painful to watch," Ida said as he tried to hold back his own tears and stop his shaking hands. But it was becoming too much to bear at this point for him. Izuku was like a brother to him and he hated fighting with his family. The Joker stumbled back to his feet as Ida was struggling to regain his bearings and reach into his suit. He pulled out a revolver and turned back around to point it at Ida, but he was tackled through the wall again to outside as Joker dropped his gun. Rain started to wash over the two as they were once again going at it like animals. Ida punched the Joker to the ground right next to his gun. Joker picked up his gun and turned around quickly with a malice grin and pointed at the hero in front of him. "No!" Everyone shouted as they saw Izuku pointed the gun at Ida and thought of the worst. "Don't do it, Izuku!" Uraraka shouted the loudest as she didn't want to see this end in one of their death. "Wait, lead them to this madness." Tokoyami mumbles to himself in shock. He pulled the trigger and nothing happened, instead a little flag that had bang. He started to pull it again and again but nothing happened. "Oh god damn it," Joker said with an eye roll as he threw the gun to side and sigh. Everyone let out a breath they were holding as they realized the gun was a joke gun. "Oh man, I don't think my heart can take any more of this," Mina said with a sigh as she held her chest to help breathe easier. "I know what you mean. This getting scary and heartbreaking with every second." Mineta said with a sigh. "Well, let's get to the part where you kick my butt and take me away," Joker said as he waited for Ida to started to beat him. When nothing happened for a few seconds, he looked at Ida with a confused expression. "What are you waiting for? Come on, beat me up and take me away like always," Joker said with a narrow stare. "No, not this time, Izuku," Ida said after a while, making the Joker look surprised as he hadn't been called by that name for the longest time. "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want either of us killing the other. But we are running out of options, Izuku," Ida said as he stared at the man who was once his friend. Everyone paled as they heard Ida words. How long had they been fighting? How long had they been so close to killing each other? Uraraka asked in fright. "I don't know. But it looked like young Ida know they need to end this war between them before it get to the point of no return." All Might finally said as he took a shaking breath. "So in others' words, if they don't end it soon, they will kill each other." Mirio said with a grimace as he can't tell if he and his friends were in this situation, would they kill each other? He didn't want to think about it. Perhaps it all hinges on tonight. I don't know what it was that made you chose this life. But maybe I was there too, Ida said as he walked toward Izuku, who hadn't moved from his spot on the ground. Maybe we can work together. I can reform you back to the man you were before. You don't have to be alone. We don't need to kill each other to make this end, Izuku, Ida said as he pulled his hand out to Izuku. "Let me help you," Ida begged as he was praying for Izuku to take his hand. Please Izuku. Take the hand. Ida begged to the screen. Come on man. You can still make the wrongs right. Shiro said. Please Izuku. Just take the hand. Uraraka begged. You better do it you DMN nerd. I don't care you kill me. Just fix yourself DMN it. Bakugo growled out angrily. Come on Izuku, you're a hero. Don't die as a villain. Mina said with a glare. Come on. Didn't you taught me what it means to be a hero? Kuda said with tears in his eyes. Izuku looked at the hand, then at Ida and then back to the hand. He sighed as he didn't took the hand and got up on his own. I'm sorry but no. Just no. Izuku said with a tired sigh. It far too late for that. Izuku said as he turned around and put his hand behind his back as his expression was solemn as he really did wanted to take the hand and accept the offer. But he couldn't. Not after all he did. Not after all the lives he ended and ruined. Not after all the heroes and villains he buried. He doesn't see himself worth saving. Tokoyami said with a grimace. That too sad. Momo said with tears in her eyes. Why did he become like this? What happened for Izuku to become the Joker? Shiro asked with a head shake. We can only accept what happened. He's set on this road and he knows he can't change it. Aizawa said with tired eyes and suddenly looking older. Kuda and Eri had tears in their eyes as they saw their idol was broken on the screen. They didn't care if he was a villain and if he didn't accept to be a hero once more. They will always remember Izuku as the hero he is and was to them. Ida eyes darkened at Izuku's words. The two just stood there a bit as the rain was still pouring and thunder was heard. Izuku suddenly chuckled. You know, it funny, this remind me of a joke. Izuku said as he turned around and gave Ida a normal smile. Everyone blink. They didn't expect Izuku to suddenly make a joke, but guess it his way to ease the tension between two old friends before they part ways for good. One last good memory between friends, huh? Ida said sadly as tears was in his eyes. A true Izuku smile, not the Joker twisted smile. See, there were two guys locked in a lunatic asylum and one night, they decided they didn't like that anymore. They decided to escape. So, they made it up to the roof and there, just across this narrow gap, they see rooftops, stretching across town, stretching to freedom. Now, the first guy, he jumps right across, no problem. But his friend, oh no way, he's afraid of falling. So, the first guy has an idea. He says, hey, I got this flashlight with me. I'll shine it across the gap between the buildings and you can walk across the beam and join me. But the second guy says, what do you think I am, crazy? You'll just turn it off when I'm halfway across. Everyone blink as they didn't know what the joke means or what was supposed to be funny about it. All for one person in the room. Ida knew as he started to chuckle as he knew what Izuku meant, scaring everyone in the room. Izuku and Ida stood there before Izuku broke the silence with a chuckle. Ida joined a second later. The two chuckle until they had a full-on laughter fest going. The two laugh like they did in Yua. As Izuku and Ida. Not as the Joker and Ingenium. Not as villain and hero. Just two old friends laughing as Ida put his hands on Izuku's shoulders as the camera pans down to show a puddle that had a straight light going down in the middle before is disappear in the rain and Izuku suddenly stopped laughing. Leaving Ida to be the only one laughing left as everything turned dark. Everyone was staring at the screen with horror expression as they were sure Ida had just killed Izuku while they were laughing. Hey Ida. What are you laughing at? Denki asked as Ida had stopped laughing as he stared to the screen with a saddened expression. That joke was about us. It about how two people who wanted to escape the world of insanity, but only one could it while the other one wasn't able to since that all he thought he could do. And the light, that was me trying to reach out for him. But that light deeper in the dark murky water. Which means I'm no longer reaching for him anymore. Ida explained as he took a deep breath. I need some times alone. Feel free to watch the next world without me. Ida said as he left the room. No one said anything as they all got up and left the room as well. All Might stay in the room as he had his hands in his head and sigh. Izuku my son, what happened to you for you to become just a broken man? All Might asked with a tired expression. Everyone was still having a hard time swallowing what they just saw. None more the Ida, as he was holding a picture of him and Izuku eating ramen together. He was torn up inside at Ho's other self, and Izuku relationship became so dangerous. He can't believe he took his brother name, and his enemy is the Joker, who is his best friend that taught him what it means to be a hero. And that same person is a twisted clown who is suffering in his soul. He was brought out of his thoughts as a voice rung through the whole building area. Come to the video room. I got a next one that is sure to lift everyone's sprites a little bit. That means you too, Ida. Leo's voice rang out as she using the speakers. Ida sighed as he got up from the room with a bed he found earlier when he was exploring the place. He made his way to video room and saw that everyone was there already. He noted how some of the people had red eyes. Some of them were crying. Ida thought as he sat down. Everyone is here. Let begin and let's see if this help you all from your funk. A comedy musician. Leo said with a giggle as she left, making everyone blink as the screen started again. At least it not FNG dark again. Bakugo said with a low growl as he's so done with Leo sheet. Izuku was on a stage surrounded by a big crowd as he held a mic to his mouth. Any big fans of country music out there? Yeah. Oh, some people extending my nickname, Boo. That's also approval. I think country music gets a bad rep, you know? Why is it that when Bruce Springsteen sings about a FING turnpike, it is art, and then when someone sings about a horse, it's dumb, inherently? Izuku said with a smile as he rubbed the back of his head as he heard some of the crowd laugh at his jokes before speaking again. Some of the people chuckle as Izuku was doing good so far. Now I'm interested in this. Uraraka said as she felt this was going to be good and help everyone out of their funk. I agree. I can't wait to see what Izuku going to say about the lame country songs. Jiro said with a smirk. I think some of the greatest songwriters of all time are country artists. Dolly Parton. Willie Nelson, you know? And if you're writing honestly, that is art, and I would never bash that. The problem is with a lot of modern country music, what is called stadium country music, the sort of Keith Urban brand of country music, is that it is not honest. It is the exact opposite of honest. Izuku said as music started to play in the background. Oh, this is going to be good. Denki said as a smile started to form on his face. Let's see what you got, bro. Kirishima said with a grin as he heard the music. Everyone leaned in as they wanted to see what Izuku was going to do. He cleared his throat slightly as he sat on a stool and started to speak again with the music. Where instead of people actually telling their stories, you got a bunch of millionaire metrosexuals that have never done a hard day's work in their lives. But they figured out the words and the phrases that they can use to pander to their audience. And they list the same words and phrases off, sort of Mad Lib style in every song, raking in millions of dollars from actual working class people. You know the words, you know the phrases like. Izuku said in a deeper voice as he began to sing to music that sounded to be country in nature. Everyone jumped as they didn't expect Izuku's voice to suddenly get deep. Man. I knew Izuku can change his voice at will, but to see him doing it again still creeped me out. All Might thought as he recalled how Izuku matched his voice and face when they talked to joke around a bit. Wow. Didn't know he could that. Siro said in surprise. He just full of surprises, huh? Mirio said with a chuckle as Izuku started to sing. A dirt road. Cold beer. A blue jeans. A red pickup. Rural noun, simple adjective. Faint laughter and clappings. No shoes. No shirt. No juice. You didn't hear that. Sort of a mental typo. Everyone were laughing at how innocent making this sound and how just roasting the country songs at the same time. Oh God, and this just the tart too. Present Mike said as he was laughing at Izuku jokes. Izuku stood up from the stool and removed it from his side and placed the mic on the stance and kept singing. More laughter as Izuku gave a sheepish, I walk and talk like a field hand. But the boots I'm wearing cost $3,000. I write songs about riding tractors. From the comfort of a private jet. Izuku started to dance a little that. Got a few laughs from the crowd as he was just messing around. Izuku is having a blast dancing for the people that came to his show. Everyone was laughing harder as Izuku danced, and his jokes were getting better as the songs go on. Aizu is killing it. Mina said as she was enjoying the song, as this song was making everyone feeling better. I can sing in Mandarin. And still know I'm pandering. Hunting deer and chasing trout. A Bud Light with the logo facing out. Hear that subtle mandolin. That's textbook Pandarin. I own a private ranch that I rarely use. I don't like dirt. Izuku smiled as he was having so much fun singing this so far. He didn't think the crowd would love it when he made this song for the show. Boy, is he glad he's singing it now. Everyone was now swaying to song and laughing with each other as they were enjoying the show Izuku was putting on. Eri and Kudo were trying to sing along, but since they didn't know the song well, they were having a hard time keeping up. Kuda and Eri are slowing becoming friends. Mandalay thought happily as she see how close the two are getting with their mutual love for Izuku. One verse, one chorus in the bag. Now it's time to talk to the ladies. I'm hoping my southern charm offsets all these Arpoi vibes I'm putting out. Izuku had started to grin as he was trying to act like a textbook country boy and making himself sound like a creeper slightly for fun, which earned some laughter from the crowd. The guys either laugh harder or chuckle loudly as the girls blush slightly as Izuku sounded so seducing for a moment. I'm a grown woman. Why did that work on me? Midnight thought in surprise. The kids blink in confusion at Izuku's last bit of that verse, but shrug it off. They will ask later. Good girl. In a straw hat. With her arms out in a cornfield. That is a scarecrow. Thought that was a human woman. Sorry. Izuku rubbed the back of his head as he sang this part with a sheepish smile as if he couldn't believe he actually did that, making the people laugh harder at his acting. It was cute. Everyone laughing at how Izuku confused a scarecrow for a human woman. Oh man, Izuku is doing so good so far. Siro said with a fit of coughs as he was laughing so hard. I know. I wish he would this in our world so I can heard more his songs. Mina whined slightly as she really wished to heard Izuku's songs some more. Maybe we can watch more later if Leo let us. Toru said with a giggle, making Mina nod in agreement. Cold night, cold beer, the cold jeans. Strike that last one. I'm wanting you. I hope you're feeling me. Subtextually. Izuku was now having everyone dancing in their seat to his song a little as they were still laughing at the song Izuku made. As was everyone in the room were doing now in their seat. They were so caught up in the song and their laughter, they didn't notice Leo was sneaking some people into the room across of them. We go to bed, you doze off. So I take your country girl clothes off. I put my hands on your body. It feels like, hey, it's effing scarecrow again. Everyone was laughing harder as Izuku had somehow got a scarecrow in bed and not realize it till he tried to take it cloths off. How could he have noticed it the second time? Mineta asked in between laughter. I don't know. But that's just too funny. Mina said as she had tears in her eyes from laughing too hard. Everyone burst out laughing at Izuku's surprise anger, as he held his hand in his face in embarrassment. Izuku sighed as he started to sing again and smiled to the crowd to show he was just messing around with the song. Like Mike's Evander G. For your ears, I'm pandering. I write songs for the people who do. Jobs in the towns that I'd never move to. Legalize gerrymandering. Tolerate my pandering. You got a beautiful mouth. I got a beautiful D. Y'all dumb motherfuckers want a key change? Everyone suddenly jump in surprise from the sudden change from Izuku tone and cheer after they realize what Izuku was doing. Man. He's so on top of this. All Might said with a chuckle as he saw how well and how much fun Izuku was doing as he did this. If the hero business don't work for some reason, he can go on doing this. He be a legend. Urarika said as she would go to all of Izuku's shows if he does decided to be a comedian. I would too. This is just too good. Momo said as she wanted to see more. Izuku was now smirking as the song shifted suddenly in tone that made everyone cheer happily as they laugh at Izuku's sudden outburst for the song. This song was amazing, the crowd thought as they keep dancing with the song from their seat. Thematically meandering. Emphatically pandering. I got a tight grip on my demo's ball. Say the word, truck, they jizz in their overalls. You don't know what land you're in. I'm in the land of pandering. And I'll be up front. I do what I do, 'cause I'm a total fucking fairy boy. Izuku finished the song with a smirk as everyone now just laughing at the song and were smiling at Izuku performance. Thank you all for coming. Please have a good night. Izuku said as his show was now over, making the crowd cheer Izuku's name as the curtains started to close on him. Everyone was still laughing as the song ended. Once they regained their bearings, everyone was smiling now as they felt lighter now they seen Izuku as a good man and making people laugh. It helped them get over the Joker Izuku they watched slightly, as that was something they can't get out of their head. But thanks to this video, they can now smile again. Hey everyone. Come to the room across from your area. I have a surprise for you. Leo said sweetly from across the hall. Everyone blinked as they didn't accept a surprise from Leo, but they follow Leo's request and head into the hall and went to the room. What they saw make their jaw drop. Well, so these are the one you wanted us to interact with, huh? They look kind of funky if you ask me. Izuku with an eye patch said as he looked at the people coming in. They aren't the strangest thing I seen. But they seem surprised to see many of us here. Izuku Neptuna said as he smirked at the people's shocked faces. Well, at least I'm out off that hellhole for a bit. I take these guys over that any day. Izuku Outlast said with a shrug as he was recording this with his camera. Yeah days. I can't believe I agree to this after the madness with Overhaul. Izuku, JoJo Bizarre Adventure, said as Star Platinum was floating over him. I don't know. I think this will be a great learning experiences for us. Izuku, DBZ, said as he scratched the back of his head with his only arm. Sure. It'd be great to see everyone again. Izuku, Fate Grand Order, said warmly. Oh my god. It the pro heroes of UA. And even All Might is here. This so cool. Izuku, Spider-Man, said giddily as he was about to spend time with his idols. Everyone didn't know what to say as they just stare at all of the Izukus they have seen so far suddenly show up. Bakugo was the only one who knew what to say at the moment. The F-. Izuku Yakuza, sigh as he saw how the pink teen girl seemed nervous about something. I would like to have a conversation going if possible. Izuku, Yakuza 0, said with his arms crossed. Sorry. I'm a little nervous to ask you for a favor. So I'm not sure how to phrase it. Mina said with a sheepish smile. Just come straight out of with it. It best to be straight with favors and questions if you're nervous. It helps speed things along and ease the nerves. Izuku, Yakuza 0, said with a small smirk. Dimon, this kid is so cute. I wonder if Itsuka was like that at one point in her life. Izuku, Yakuza 0, thought as he thought back to the blind girl he protecting. Okay then. I want you to teach me and Jairu on how to use your breaker style. Mina said with a bow. The older Yakuza blinked as he didn't expect to be requested to teach two young girls on how to fight with his breaker style. I'm not even sure I can even teach you. I kind of learned through fights. Izuku, Yakuza 0, said blankly. Please Izuku-sensei. I know how to break dance, so I'm confident I can learn it quickly and teach Jar later if I have to. Mina begged, still in her bow. Izuku, Yakuza 0, stare a few seconds as he weighed the pros and cons of teaching the young girl how to fight with his breaker style. Sure. I don't see what I got to lose if I teach you. Plus, if you wins your fights with it, it means my breaker style beat those jackasses you call villains, make it worthwhile. Izuku, Yakuza 0, said with a smirk. Mina fist pumped the air. Thank you Izuku-sensei. Mina said happily. Sensei huh? I like the sound of that. Izuku, Yakuza 0, said with a amused expression. Now, let me warn you I can brutal with my training. I'll try to pull my punches a bit so I can teach you ya, but it be up to you to keep up. Izuku, Yakuza 0, said with his arms crossed. Yes sir. I'll go get Jiro very quick. Mina said as she skipped to Jiro, who was talking to Izuku with a stand. I see. So your dad is actually American with love for music. I didn't think so. A small difference in a world would have an effect like that stand. Jiro said in surprise. I know right. The stand is so cool. Uraraka said as she hanging on Star Platinum. WL. I wouldn't say it just because of my dad that I gain a stand, but it did help with the name greatly. Izuku, JoJo, said with a sheepish smile. Bakugo started as he disliked it how to hide behind this stand beside fighting like a man. Your next line is, how FING weak are you that you need something to fight for you, you FNG nerd. Toy. Izuku Jojo said with a smirk as he pointed at Bakugo. How effing weak are you that you need something to fight for you, you ini nerd? Bakugo said before his eyes widened in shock. Star Platinum is a part of me. So even if Star Platinum can't get damaged by normal people and their quirks, doesn't mean that it can defend against everything. Any pain it feels, I feels. So it not really hiding behind something when the damage can be such as dangerous. Izuku Jojo explain with a shrug. Bakugo just growl. Did you just make a fool out of me, you effing nerd? Bakugo growl out angrily. Yar days. You never change, do you? Not even in a different world. Izuku Jojo said with a fond sigh. Bakugo growl as he charged at Izuku, intended to do harm. But a fist collided with his gut with a loud "Hur." Bakugo fell to the ground and started to vomit his lunch out. Sorry Kaken. My stand always act to protect me when there any danger to me. Izuku Jojo said with a frightful expression, but he felt a hand on his shoulder and turned to his other self who watched the whole thing. Don't worry about it too much, Jojo. He chose to act like a brat and this is his price. You did nothing wrong. Izuku DBZ said with a hardened voice. But still though. That a little much, don't you think? Denki said with a grimace as he was talking to Izuku DBZ, as they saw what happened as well. No. Not really. Jojo here could have let Star Platinum kill Bakugo if he hadn't held it back. This is light to what it could have done. Izuku DBZ said with a shake of his head. He knew I held Star Platinum fist at the last second? How? Izuku Jojo thought in amazement. I think he good. Just need some rest now. Uraraka said as she checked Bakugo and saw that he was breathing normally. Good. Take him out of the room before he tried to pick a fight with the others Izuku's. Izuku DBZ said with a sigh. Uraraka nodded and used her quirk to make him float and push him out of the room. Well, that was interesting. Izuku Jojo said with a grimace. He kind of devour it really. Trust me, if I wasn't trying so hard to bash anyone, I would be having a field day with him. Leo said with a shrug. Bash. Joeth. Internet stuff honey. Leo said as she fixed her jacket. Jiro just rose a brow and ignored she turned to Izuku DBZ to ask him something. You call this Izuku Jojo? Why did you call him that? Jiro asked as she held up the Izuku she was talking to. Leo told us that his nickname is Jojo cause his middle name is Joseph. Based on what we were told, some girls during his middle school years bully him, decided to give him a girly nickname and use Jo in his middle name. Thus, Jojo was born. Izuku DBZ explain. But I actually like the nickname, so I didn't mind it too much. But no one call me Izuku again. They just call me Jojo. Even my teachers. Izuku Jojo said with a sigh. Dude. Denki said with a frown. Anyway, I'm happy I get called Jojo by people who actually like me. So thank you. Izuku Jojo said with a bright smile, melting everyone's heart. He too pure. Torodoki thought. Hey, I thought I would be teaching ya. Izuku Yakuza 0 shouted as he came over to Mina. Oh right. Sorry Izuku-sensei. Jiro, Izuku-sensei agreed to teach us his breaker style. Mina said happily, making Jiro blink. I didn't think he would agree. Jiro said in awe. I know right. Now come on, we get training to do. Mina said as she started to drag Jiro and Izuku, Yakuza 0. Hey slow down. Jiro shouted as the three left the room. That cute. Izuku, DBZ, said with a chuckle as he recalled how Eri wanted to train too. With the teachers. All Might was having fun. And then I placed the bucket of water over Endeavor head. Izuku, Spider-Man, said with a smirk as he was hanging on to his web. All Might burst out laughing. Spider-Man my boy. You have so much guts to do such a thing. All Might said, calling Izuku, Spider-Man, by his hero name to avoid confusion with the others Izuku's. That what everyone I tell that keep telling me. But hey, that guy need to smile more. Plus, it because of his attitude that people are spreading bad rumors of him killing civilians is getting worse. Izuku, Spider-Man, said with a sigh. What do you mean? Present Mike asked with a frown. Well, there are a lot of people who don't like Endeavor for his attitude and such. Don't get me wrong, he a pretty F-up person at first, but after what happened with All Might in my world and becoming the new #1 hero, he been changing for the better. He's still cold and a bit of an but he growing. And the fight we had, it was a misunderstanding. It looked like I made the fire, and Endeavor just tried to capture me. But we made sure to be careful in that fight and even save people who would have died. But we couldn't save everyone since some of them took their own life in a panic to escape the fire. Thus, the rumor of him killing them and him trying to pin their deaths on me. Izuku, Spider-Man, said sadly. But what about putting you down business? Midnight asked with her arms crossed. I think he meant putting down Spider-Man. The idea, not the person. But I think how people can interpret it like that. Izuku, Spider-Man, said with a chuckle. That I can see that too actually. Present Mike said with a sheepish smile. I hope things get better for you in your world, Spider-Man. Feel like it about to get worse before it will be better again. All Might said. I know All Might. I'm scared of what to come, but I haven't given up yet. The world need heroes to rise up more than ever now. And if I can inspire some of them, no matter how small, then I would gladly do so. Izuku, Spider-Man, said with a smirk. All Might chuckle a bit. Izuku my boy. You'll be a strong hero one day. I hope the All Might in your world can support you too. All Might thought. Oh, I know this is off topic. Izuku, Spider-Man, started near Valsi. What is it? Midnight asked. Since this is the first time I met you without you guys trying to arrest me, can I have your autograph? Izuku, Spider-Man, asked with a nervous smile. The teachers blink before smiling. We will love to Izuku. Midnight smile. Izuku, Spider-Man, smile brightly at that, making them blush at how adorable he is. I want to talk to my other self to get them to support this kid. The pros heroes thought. With Izuku Outlast. Izuku Outlast was being fussed over by a younger version of his girlfriend. I'm okay, Momo. It stopped bleeding and I managed to avoid getting it infected. So I should be fine once I get to the hospital. Izuku Outlast said in vain to calm down Momo. But this type of injury could still be dangerous. Momo said as she wrapped Izuku Outlast hand up. I understand. But it nothing I can't handle. Beside, I'm sure the Momo in my world would do worse to me if I come back home with worst injuries. Izuku Outlast, chuckle. That not funny, Izuku. As soon as we are done, you'll be going back to that place and go back to fighting for your life once more. Momo said sadly. I know. That why I agree to come here. So I have a break of that and get some food in my belly. Izuku Outlast said honestly as he looked at the dinner plate Momo got him a little while ago. It was filled with healthy food that can give him energy. Even in this world, you still feed me healthy food. Izuku Outlast thought fondly. Thanks for the food once more. I was starving. Izuku Outlast said as he began to munch on his food, savoring it a bit cause this may be his last meal. It no trouble, Izuku. Just eat and rest a bit before time up. You'll need it. Momo said with a sigh. Yes, ma'am. Izuku Outlast said as he started to eat once more. Momo looked at the adult Izuku more closely and smiled. He became more handsome in his later years. Momo's face became red as she shook those thoughts out of her head. Now not the time. Momo thought to herself as she needed to make sure this Izuku can get enough rest to raise his chance of survival for the future. With the rest of the class. Then, while me and my goddesses were fighting against our clones, Neptune decided to have us switch around to chance the odds up. She blinked as almost all the others' CPUs went straight to her clone, leaving me and her to deal with the others. Izuku Neptunia said with a chuckle, making the others laugh. But, God, that funny. Haru said with a giggle. Yep. Sounds like you have fun despite the danger you face. Sayu said happily. Try. But I seen where our adventure took a darker turn. Izuku, Neptunia, said with a far-off look. What do you mean? Kuda asked. Well, I can't say much. But let's just say I'm not sure seeing different timeline can be a blessing at times. Defiantly when one of them was a conquest. Izuku said with a shiver as he recalled those dark visions. Oh, how he cry and hug his dear CPUs closely when he first saw them. He swore to never let such thing happen to his CPUs. I guess you have some baggies as well then. Tokoyami said with a worry expression. Like you wouldn't believe. But I still hold strong. I'm the CPU's champions after all. It would make me look bad if I let that keep me that for long. Izuku, Neptunia, said with a smirk. Everyone smile at this. It seemed no matter the world, Izuku will always smile for those in need. Just like All Might. Everyone thought. Everyone was having a fun time talking with each other, they almost didn't notice a present in the room. Izuku DBZ turned Super Saiyan as turned to the door with a glare as Izuku, Jojo, Star Platinum looked ready to fight as well as the two of them felt a dangerous present. Izuku, Spider-Man, Spider Sense were flaring up, making him look at the door as well. Izuku, Neptunia, saw this and summoned his weapon and got ready as well. Everyone was confused on why the Izukus in the room look ready to fight, beside Leo who eyes widen in horror. Okay everyone. Playtime is over. Time to go back. Leo said as she snapped her finger and teleport everyone who wasn't an Izuku away. If you're here to cause trouble, get ready to die. Izuku, DBZ, said darkly. I like to see you try golden boy. A clown man said as he walked in with a crazed smile on his face. Leo frowned as she stared at one of the Izuku she tried to avoid bring to this place. Joker. Back with the group. What happened? Denki asked. I don't know, but something dangerous arrived that they needed us out of the way for. All Might said with a sigh. I guess we can wait it out for a bit. But it looked like the room across us is locked now. Toridoki said as he saw the doors was close. Shame. I wanted to ask Izuku about time travel. Mei said with a pout. I hope the Izuku I was talking to is safe. Momo mumbled to herself. I'm sure everything is fine. Let's just watch a few more videos and wait for them to come back. Jiro said with a shrug. Everyone agreed and sat down as they turned the montier once more.